DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks, and you're watching NorbCam.
We were trying.
Right, so that was all visual entertainment. So let me just do that again. My name is norbert-caoili from NorbCam. We're going to talk about this crazy trade rumor about Russell Wilson being frustrated, wanting to be traded, and all kinds of stuff. Alina, thank you for reminding me. I didn't even realize I was muted, but yes, I guess I'm not muted anymore. So I am back. Thank you for watching the channel. As I said earlier, when you can only see the visual, but you couldn't hear me, please smash that like button. Where is that like button thing again? Smash the like button, hit the notification bell. This time you can actually hear me talk about it, and that way you won't miss a single video in the future. And as I was flashing that card up, big thanks to my sponsor, Daniel Dovin of Dovin Real Estate. Man, I'm bummed that you didn't hear me because I was getting all emotional, all into it. You can see it in my face, right? Like, what's happening to our Seahawks and our quarterback? All right, so before we jump into this heavy topic here, let's introduce the roundtable. We are missing a couple of members today. Unfortunately, Brian Abker couldn't make it today. Work matters were pressing, so he really wanted to be here because he wanted to weigh in with some opinions on this issue. And Little Seahawks Martin may join us a little bit later if he's free, so we will find out if he's going to be able to join us at some point or another. So in the meantime, it's going to be the four of us right here. So let's start up in the top and give you guys a chance to just introduce yourselves and tell everybody about what you got going on. So first and foremost, let's get on the top, coach of Coach's Corner, Coach Bill Marsh.
Hey there, guys. Norb, congratulations on a great restart to the show. That was awesome. Like version 2.0, it feels like it's a carryover from the 1.01 gigawatts we were short to get to the 1.21 gigawatts the other night. But excited to be here, man. There's some serious topics. I never thought that the Super Bowl would be the lead story that we'd bury a few days later, but it looks like we're going to have some interesting conversation tonight. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, absolutely, man. I didn't expect it either. I did have to adjust the thumbnail, the title, and everything because of what's going on. So let's get to Squabo, DJ Squabo. As always, a regular on the show, man. Tell them what's going on and where to find you.
Well, first, Norb, I have to give a personal shout out to your video reading the Cam Chancellor article. We might have even done a show since you came out with it, but it's literally one of my favorite videos that you've ever done. The storytelling, the narration is beautiful. And I just wanted to give you props and give you credit. It's one of my favorite videos and you did an excellent job. So if you haven't, definitely after today's show, go check out the Cam Chancellor article video that Norb put out a couple weeks ago.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. But on my channel, tomorrow I am filming a video about how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady won the Super Bowl. I'm breaking it down. Not quite like Coach does it. I'm going to do a little bit more analytically, a little bit less film study, but nonetheless, I'm filming it tomorrow and it should be to you by early next week. So definitely stay tuned to my channel.
All right. And last but certainly not least, let's get Steezy A. Smith onto the show, man. Always good to see you, bro, and always looking sharp. Tell everybody what you got going on. Yeah, what you got going on.
Yeah. First off, I just want to apologize. There is a washer going on in the background, so that's what's going on right now. So I want to apologize in advance if that's too loud. But as you guys may know, Steezy A. Smith. My name is Calvin Domingo. I know it's been a while. It's been over 2 weeks since I put out a video, but I will be recording a Super Bowl reaction video. I don't know how I'm going to angle it just yet, but hopefully this weekend we can get to that. And just because of what's been going on, I also want to get kind of my take on what's going on with Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. So hopefully those will be coming real soon. Hopefully this weekend. Be sure to get at me on Instagram, YouTube, if you guys haven't already. And can't wait for a great show today.
All right. So this story took off real quick, and I think it all started when Russell Wilson did an interview on the Dan Patrick Show, and I don't believe it was meant to go that way. I think it was more going to be because Russell Wilson had just won Man of the Year. He's kind of promoting some of his other side businesses and stuff like that, so he's going to be on the cover of GQ, or is on the cover of GQ this week with Sierra. So I think this was more of just kind of a PR tour, but Dan Patrick likes to kind of dig deep and kind of push those questions along, And so I thought a lot of what's going on out there right now is that people are reacting to stories and stories about the story where all they do is center on like one line and they build an entire story about 2 words or 3 words that Russell might have said, and they make an entire story and headline out of it. And it's a little frustrating, to be honest with you, because I think things get taken a lot out of context. But I thought the only way to really make sure of that is because a lot of you guys who are watching, you may or may not have heard the original story. So to solve that little problem, we're going to actually listen to a few of the key bites from that story, and let's actually hear what Russell Wilson had to say from that interview. All right, if that's okay with you guys, I would like to do that at this moment here, and hopefully YouTube won't flag me on it because I'm playing a little bit of his YouTube interview, but we'll see. So we're going to do that. I'm going to just pull up a few of the key lines from that, and let's just see what Russell Wilson had to say. Now I'm going to try to make this thing happen here. Anyway, there's the screen. I've got this YouTube. I got our Kahoot scoreboard for later. But we are doing trivia, so that's kind of a reminder. We are doing trivia a little bit later, thanks to Cameron Hughes. So let me just make a couple of adjustments now that you guys are on here. I'm going to make it so that you guys in the audience can hear it, but I also want my the roundtable to be able to hear it. Normally, they can't hear anything from my computer, so I got to make a couple of tweaks so they can hear it this time. All right, so here we go.
No, there's also 2 of you on the screen, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm just having all kinds of cool bugs in the screen. There you go. Got rid of clone Norb-Cam. I wish I could clone myself in real life. I could get so much more done, and I'd be a hell of a lot more better at Madden if I could clone myself. See, if I could take this guy and I go, hey, Norb number 2, man, I'm going to go get some work done. You go play Madden and get real good 8 hours a day. All right, is that cool? Yeah, man, that's cool. I'll do it. I'm all over it. All right, thanks. Appreciate it. That's what I wish I could do. But until that technology is available, that's going to have to be what it is. All right.
Well, I used to face a coach every year that he didn't have kids. I had 3 kids, and we would battle, and he just got the best of me for a few years. And then he had a kid, and I remember telling him, when you start spending quality time with your kid or kids, it's going to affect what you do for your other work. I think Norb actually spent some quality time with his girls the last 24 hours. And it's kept him from being able to focus on getting ready for this show.
I did. I had to take my youngest daughter, Vanessa. You guys know Vanessa.
You got to take her. You didn't have to. You got to take her.
Oh yeah. Well, no. I mean, it was a place I took. I didn't want to take her. She hyperextended her knee last week. She hyperextended her knee during volleyball last week, no good. And so she had to get it X-rayed and stuff like that. She should have played in a little practice last night. She's missing her practice today. They got a tournament this weekend, so we're trying to get her on the court, man. So it's injuries, no bueno, man. It sucks. So yeah, but we went down there together, and luckily there's not too much damage internally there on the leg, so it looks good. So now she's got to strengthen that sucker up and get back to hitting that ball. All right, so we are ready to go. Let's pull this up. And again, this is snippets from the Russell Wilson interview on the Dan Patrick Show. Hopefully this will work out okay. All right, so I got to mute myself and then turn it up so my guests can hear this too. All right, here we go. Here it is. The first part. This is where Russell Wilson talks about being involved or wanting to be involved in decision-making the process. Here we go.
Especially being a veteran player, you know, that dialogue is really important.
Yeah, but that's a long-winded way of not answering my question. Are you involved in personnel decisions? Have you been involved in personnel decisions?
Not as much. I don't, I think that, for
Do you
me,
want to be involved, Russ?
Yeah, I think it helps. I think it helps to be involved more. But I think that dialogue should happen more often, in my opinion.
Yeah, but look, I'm worried about these numbers. You've been sacked 394 times in your career. So you're going to be the most sacked quarterback in the history of the game. Why?
Yeah. Well, I think that sometimes you hold on to it a little bit, just because you're looking for that play and you find those guys, but also so many times those turns into touchdowns too. But to be you never want to be sacked that many times. 400 times basically is way too many. 400 too many. So I think that's a big thing that we got to fix. That's got to be fixed, and has to be, at the end of the day, because my goal is to play, 10 to 15 more years. And so when you think about that and longevity and legacy and all that, and you watched the game the other night. The difference between that game was, Tom was taking shots down the field and getting the ball, to his guys and stuff like that. But, he wasn't touched really. He got touched. I think he got sacked one time in the game, early on. But, throughout the
And this doesn't even count, Russ, how many times you were hit. I mean, that's 394 sacks. Like, that's a lot. And like,
I think you also get away quite a bit too. I get away some too. But,
you do. But that's a lot, though.
I think that we got to get better up front. I think that, and it's not just passing. I think in terms of everything you do, it controls the game, as you watched the other night. I think obviously guys like Dwayne are such amazing players, and to have him come in was a big thing that I really wanted to make sure that happened. I think that we all wanted to make sure that happened because we knew that what a great player Dwayne was, for example. So, so I think that, throughout the next 10 years, it's really important for me personally, but also just, throughout, my career that, we make sure that we do everything we can, including myself, do everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay. So those were pretty much. There's one more bite I'll play a little bit later that talks about the trade talks. Could you guys hear that? I hope you guys could hear that. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you guys heard that as well. So if I didn't know anything about the headlines and I listened just to that little bit right there, I think he mentions up front one time. He says we got to get better up front. But he starts off by saying, well, sometimes we hold off the ball a little bit too long, but sometimes it results in touchdowns. He only mentions the offensive line in like one breath and says, yeah, we got better up front, but we got to be better in every phase. So to me, this is a story that has really been taken way out of context from what I think the spirit of what he actually says in the interview. And Dan Patrick is pushing hard. You heard that part. I didn't even play the part where he first asked, so Russell, do you think it's important? Do you want to be involved in the decision making? And then he goes and says, you're not really answering my question. Are you involved? I mean, he would not let it go. And Russell usually kind of dances around and just sort of says something kind of simple. So anyway, so that was just my first reaction to after I thought, I got to hear this for myself. So that was kind of my first reaction. Now, I want to get your guys' opinion. Having heard that, and I wasn't sure if you guys heard the story before or not, heard the interview, but let's just kind of go around the horn. I just want to get your guys' initial reaction to the story. Is this something to be concerned about? Do you feel like this is just much ado about nothing? Let's start with Steezy A. Smith, man. Let's get your opinion first on this.
Well, I'm not going to say it's nothing because what I think he's trying to do is he's basically just trying to put pressure on the front office to build his team to the best possible way that they can and to kind of build up some of the deficiencies that we've had in the last 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, you look at our playoff record in the last 4 or 5 seasons, we're 1-4. So obviously something's not right. Something's not things haven't been, working the way that they have been. And so I don't truly believe he wants out of Seattle because I think he wants to end his career in Seattle. He wants to retire in Seattle. He's just kind of starting to get tired of the front office not addressing the needs that he feels like need to be addressed. And so I'm totally with you, Norb. I feel like the media is definitely blowing this out of proportion. Everyone's saying, oh, Russ wants to be traded. Oh, Russ to New England. Oh, Russ to Houston. Russ to this place. Russ to Chicago. All that, blah, blah. He doesn't want to be traded. I mean, I think he'd want to be traded if something was severely wrong at Seattle, if they weren't catering to some of his wants and desires. But until then, I mean, this is just a story.
Squabo, how about you? Your thoughts, initial thoughts and reactions to this? Nothing? Or when there's smoke, there's fire? What's your thoughts?
No, honestly, watching this interview, I don't know if you guys remember, but when I was deciding what college to go to, I was deciding between Wazoo, the Stanford of the Northwest, as Coach Maraj likes to call it, Harvard of the Northwest.
Crimson and Crimson.
Whoops. But the other school that I was deciding between was Full Sail University and the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. So I did a little bit of research about this guy, and just watching this interview, everyone can tell Patrick was pressing hard. Like, he was trying to get a story out of Russell Wilson, and that's exactly what he got. But I do believe that they are taking it out of proportion, because I don't think Russell Wilson was trying to throw Seattle under the bus necessarily. I think he was just trying to be honest. And like Patrick said, he tried to avoid the question at first. So I don't think it was necessarily an attack at Seattle. I think it's honesty through and through about what the franchise needs to change. And I think he's right about it. So I really don't hold anything against Russell Wilson in this instance. I think he like Stevie said, he wants to be in Seattle for the rest of his career. I buy that. I think he wants to fix this team and go from here. Getting rid of Russell Wilson, we'll talk about it in a little bit, I'm sure, but it's going to cost us $32 million for him to play for us this year. If we get rid of him, it's going to cost us $39. So financially, it makes zero sense to get rid of him at this point anyways. He knows he's at least going to be here for this season. So I think this is just a shout out to the management and to the head coach, letting him know, hey, look, I need to see this change. Over the past couple of years, he said that a couple of times, and he's gotten results because of it. Russell Wilson is in a position of power. Like Stevie said, this is a shout out to management. A couple years back, he asked for, we need superstar players. We need to make a splash. We went out and traded for Jamal Adams. Last year, I want to start cooking a little bit more. And then we let Russ cook early on in the season, at least. So we've shown that we'll listen to Russell Wilson in the offseason when he comes out and speaks on things. So I fully believe that we're going to cooperate with what he says, and I think it'll help us moving forward.
Well, you're already starting to make me feel better, because I was starting to get a little freaked out, especially after who was the former Seahawks receiver who's now an analyst, went and did a long story talking about how
Nate Burleson?
No, not Burleson. It was more recently. He was on the squad from 2018.
Baldwin.
Brandon Marshall.
Yes, Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall talking about how he was there and he overheard things, and he knows that the Seahawks don't respect Russell or don't believe in Russell, and Russell is going to need to, if he doesn't get what he needs to go separate ways. I mean, he was pushing hard, adding fuel. I mean, if this was the fire, if this was a little campfire, he took the fuel and tried to make a bonfire of that sucker. I mean, it was pretty, I was reading it going, really? Are you kidding me? And so I was there, and I was like, well, that was almost 2.5 seasons ago, man. Anyway, so just to add to that's just more fuel to the fire we've been seeing throughout everywhere. Every news place has just been building on top of that thing. So, Coach Marsh, we dissected quite a bit of Russell Wilson even before this was a story, breaking down, like where does the responsibility fall on with the sacks that Russell's had this season, and you came out saying that much of the blame falls on Russell Wilson's shoulders. And now this comes out where everyone's trying to make it sound like Russell Wilson's upset. He wants changes. He doesn't like what we got in the offensive line. What's your take on all this, man? Are you with the other guys? Just a lot of much ado about nothing? Or do you have a different perspective on this?
Yeah, it's definitely much different. I think coming from a standpoint of being a coach before and having dealt with players that, they change. Everybody changes, right? As they evolve, as they get older, as they mature, as they stay with an organization. Players would come into our program, and then a few years later, they're different. They're more confident, or what have you. And really, the analogy I'll give here, and I think Squabble will understand this one because he likes to throw these type out. A lot of times when you're, maybe you're dating someone or you're in a relationship, and someone says something to you, and they're joking when they say it, and then after a while, you start thinking, did they really mean part of what they said? Nah, they couldn't have meant it. And then a few weeks later, they drop something else to somebody else in the middle of the conversation. You're like, man, that's like the second time. Well, then it goes on and on. Next thing you know, it's like you're starting to find out what the person's really feeling. Or earlier in the week, we had, for the first time, we heard about Russell's team. And we're not talking about the Seattle Seahawks. We're talking about his entourage of, people that work for him, whether it's people that work in his limitless mindset, if it's other groups. And one of my best friends is part of that limitless mindset group. He does his own mindset training. He's nationally renowned, and he's connected into Russell Wilson. Russell's brother hired him just over a year ago. And so we've had some conversations, and it's one of those things where, if you really start to look at the psychology of what Russ has been doing lately and some of his actions and some of the way he's evolved as a person. And I want to preface this with, I love Russell Wilson as a player. I don't want to see him leave, but I'm more like a Brandon Marshall, right? I'm going to say exactly what I think is happening. And again, not so much personal opinion as much as the facts as I'm seeing them. Russell Wilson is not the same dude that we all fell in love with a few years back, right? When he was making $550 and $650, I'll get into numbers later. He's making 40 times more than what he made. And then he just saw veteran quarterback go to another team, win a Super Bowl. So that precedent's been set. And then all of a sudden, he's starting to drop these things. He has his team mention something earlier in the week that Russ isn't happy with the O-line, and now he goes on the Dan Patrick show for the third time in 18 months to sell some, something that he's working on or what have you. Man, I'm telling you, if I'm making the call right now, I think you give it a year and Russ is gone. Like, I literally think that Russ is gone. Either it's by trade or it's by, him somehow working his way out of here because of the Tom Brady. The Tom Brady was the first domino effect of what took place. Again, I'm not saying I want him to go. I'm not saying that all those other things, but when they're throwing stuff out there with regards to the O-line, and we did it on the breakdown. It's the last thing I'll say. All the sacks, I looked at every single one of them, broke them down. We talked about it, and I equated over 70% of them to Russ. Right. So it's his style of play. We love it. I hope the evolution with the new offensive coordinator and the hybrid West Coast offense will be great for him. But man, the last week alone has been enough for me to just really question, where his mind really is and where he's going. And is he laying down the groundwork? Because Russ is not the type to come out and just confront people. We're used to soft Russ, nice Russ, be on the cameras and say the right things and Mr. Cliche and all. It's not in his mindset to just come out, I demand a trade. But you start laying the droplets a little bit, just like one of Squabbo's ex-girlfriends who would lay the droplets a little bit, and then all of a sudden, boom, there comes the hammer. But at least they've kind of let you know they're coming.
Okay, so I'm not feeling so good after I'm feeling real good after Squabbo and Steezy. All of a sudden, Coach Maraj bringing me down here, man, saying there's more smoke, there's more fire than smoke on this.
Which is why I think the evolution is going to be great, which is why I'm excited for the new offensive coordinator. You got all the things that need to take place. I just don't like, you've heard me say it a million times. We, us, are over me, my I. We, us, are over me, my I. Tom Brady does what he does because 3 times in his career, he's defaulted contracts and moved contract numbers around so he can get better players around him. If Russ wants to make those sacrifices to get the linemen, when you're making so much more than the lineman in front of you, you can't put any blame on those guys. Again, why did we do great in the 2 Super Bowls? Because we had a phenomenal defense that was getting paid, and then they got paid more and it broke. And then, Russ wasn't making that much. But now you leak out some of these things. I mean, we already had a fractured locker room in 2015, and look what happened. And now you say that he's got to confront those linemen. How do you think they're feeling right now? Because he did say it himself on the Dan Patrick show. When it was said through his team of people, I just brushed it off. When Russ is on a national televised show, and I like Dan Patrick in terms of an interview, I love the fact that he was grilling Russ. Enough with the cliches already. Man, if there's something on your mind or what, like Dan Patrick will pull it out of you. So let's get it out there.
You mentioned about him saying something about the line, but when I listened to that, I heard him say we just got to get better up front, and it was so quick. And when I listened to, switching gears, Patrick Mahomes, did you guys hear his post-game press conference after the Super Bowl? He really threw guys under the bus. Now, I think he took some of the heat himself, but he said receivers we weren't on the same page. They were running the right routes. The O-line was not, I can't remember exactly what he said, but something to the fact that they weren't protecting well or something like that. But I was a little more surprised because I thought he actually threw more people under the bus than Russ did in that I showed you like 3 minutes of a long interview.
But
he
again,
said maybe that much.
Then I'm going to take a break and let others talk here. But just 24 hours earlier, somebody from within his group put out there, because nothing goes out without Russ giving the okay on it. Trust me on that. There is nothing that goes out because he is so image conscious. Right? I mean, I don't think there's an athlete on the planet more image conscious than he is. That's why we get the cliches, but it's why he's man of the year. He does so many great things that have put him on the map. But it's why he gets the front row at this and the front row at that and all the award shows and all those other things that we love. See, hey, that's our guy, right? That's our guy that gets to do that. But when you have a group from within that says something about the O-line within 24 hours, and then you going on and having that kind of pulled out of you, somewhere internally that's another component that I just think we put too much stock into what we need Russ to do. And then we need to be prepared that there's going to come a time when it may end for him. Nobody thought it was going to end for Tom Brady in New England. And Tom just proved that, hey, I can go somewhere else. Problem is there's not a lot of greener pastures out there. And Russ would have to default a lot of stuff.
Now you said earlier you thought in a year you think he'll be gone, or you think he could be gone in a year. Which way are you leaning?
I think he will be gone in a year. So I'm just saying, I think he will be gone in a year.
You're not saying
no one else will say it. I'm going to say it. I think he will be gone in a year.
So you're not saying if things don't get corrected, he'll be gone. You're saying right here now, regardless of what the new coordinators do, no matter what moves they make, you're saying that it's just a matter of time he will be gone in a year.
Yeah, because to me, it's the strong statement to make. It's easy to go, we hope, or what. I'm saying he will be gone. Like, in my opinion, he will be gone in a year, regardless. Even if things are magical and we have a run, Russ will want to try something different. He'll be the guy that maybe wants to go to the bigger market or whatever things that people say nowadays, because he has the money. And so when people say, well, he needs to make more, or he's got the wife that does, it's not about that anymore. He's talking about he keeps saying me, I want the changes. I want the legacy. I mean, he said it right after the season in his press conference, right after the season with all the reporters. Immediately, right out of the chute, he started talking about his own legacy. That's what he was focused on. Like, I got to this is my legacy. Like, I hope that I have some say. And he was saying some of the stuff that Watson was saying, only we just back off Russ so much because he's our guy and because he brought us out of the darkness and stuff that you've mentioned before, Norb. I mean, he's golden. He's the golden child here. But I have to just speak as a coach who's seen this type of stuff happen at a much smaller level, but also having talked to people who are directly connected to him, who know other, things are going on. And when you watch how things evolve, again, Tom Brady if they lose the Super Bowl, I don't think any of this it's not even a point. But Tom Brady opened up a can of worms in the NFL that you could only see happen in the NBA and Major League Baseball because of the way that salaries are done and everything else. Here, guys are going to start now commanding things to happen because they just watched Brady continue to build upon his legacy. And Russ is wondering, why are we talking about Mahomes as the next GOAT? Well, aren't I the guy? Now, later when we come back around again, I'll share some of his stats during his biggest games and explain why I think that he probably wants to go somewhere else where he can shine without having to be the 300-yard passer.
All right, Squabba, I think you look like you wanted to say something. You got a different take on this. This is a pretty heavy hot take right here. Not one I was expecting on the 3 days after the Super Bowl. We haven't even gotten into sniffing free agency, and we're already talking about Russell being gone in a year. I mean, what's up?
Well, Coach Maraj, first of all, your journalism skills are off the charts. That was very entertaining, and I followed it. You built a very good case, but where I think we disagree, I got a question for you, Coach. What if, because I believe the thing that Russell Wilson wants from the Tom Brady situation is, well, Tom Brady went to Tampa, yeah, but the big thing that made them a Super Bowl champion was that he had all the power and he was able to build this team. And throughout the year, they started inputting Brady plays into the playbook, and they started listening to Brady more. And as the team became more and more revolving around Brady, they became more and more successful. They believed in him. They saw the GOAT in the backfield, and they knew that they had a chance every single week. And it turned them into having a Super Bowl championship run. What if Seattle, which we've shown a tendency to do in the past 2 years, as I previously gave examples of, listens to Russell Wilson and lets him start to control some of the guys that we bring in through free agency and through the draft? What if Wilson has a major say and then the locker room rallies behind Wilson and we do have a Super Bowl caliber season? And what if we get to the Super Bowl and what if we win this year because Russell Wilson had a say in the offseason? What would you say to that? Is he still gone?
Easy, yeah, because you got to remember that New England had nearly a 10-year dry gap between Super Bowls. And during that time, Brady was able to evolve, was able to do things. So it wasn't like at the very beginning he had the say of what he was going to do. During the second run of Super Bowl runs is when he really started having more input in what was going on. But even down in Tampa, it took a good 6 or 7 games before Arians started realizing, hey, I've got to let Tom Brady take a little bit more control. The reason I say that is Russell has never, since he's been here, ever been in a situation where he's been allowed to take control of the game. And I've said this before, when you don't know what you don't know, how do you possibly know, right? How do you possibly know if you don't know what you don't know? Meaning he's never been in a position to check plays. When he does, it's been checked from this run play to this run play, and we go from 3rd and 1 to 4th and 3.
Well, he's had drives where he's called plays.
But what I'm saying is if we just put him in that spot, we don't know if he's a guy that can make those type of calls and bring guys in. If he doesn't even know what type of person he is with regards to that, we don't know if he's a great check down caller. And the other difference is he hasn't been in an offense that's a timing type offense. Now Brady had great protection in the Super Bowl. It was awesome to watch. But today I spent time going all the way back to Super Bowl 23 and watching Joe Montana and watching his timing of every single pass was 3-step throw, 5-step throw, 5-step half roll throw, all those different things. We've never seen Russ be able to do that because his mobility is what creates the great plays that he does. But it also has been the downfall of so many times when we should be able to keep a drive going, make things happen, throw a ball away, stuff that you just don't see a Tom Brady do. And I'm not even going to throw Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees into that conversation. Tom Brady is the one guy that can do that. And now I think Russ is looking at going, well, wait, I aspire to be that, but he's not close to being that. He's still in that next echelon group, which is why I think, he's not caught up, and we have to remember, and I want to hear some, Steezy, like, I don't want to run the show here, but we are fans. So we're loyal to the Seattle Seahawks. We're fans. So we are loyal and we're loyal. How could a guy ever leave us? Russell Wilson is a businessman. He came to us as a young man who just wanted a chance and wanted to do his thing and get to the Super Bowl. But now, do you know how many endorsements he has? I won't list them all off for you right now, but he's part of 7 of the top 10 corporations in the world he endorses. So his focus is in so many different areas that, Tom Brady's doing commercials with Gronk because his focus is he wants to be the greatest of all time. And there's just a difference in, how they are because they're different generational players.
Stacey.
And the last thing, Squabbo, is, from what I'm saying, you want me on that line and you need me on that line. That's what Russ thinks he's at right now. And that's what we think of him. We think he's the Jack Nicholson of quarterbacks because he's the guy that's got us there before. And I'm looking at it going, he's phenomenal. I don't want to lose him. I still think he is the guy. But I also think there's about 10 other dudes in the NFL that could come in and run the hybrid West Coast offense with a great defense and a solid running game because that's what Pete wants. So we can't, I'm basing on what Pete wants. Then bring in one of those guys that wants to be in Seattle and is going to get after it and get these guys to do what they want to do.
Stacey, you got to weigh in here, man. You got to add some. Tip the scales here.
So real quick about the Tom Brady situation, he could have came back to New England, but instead the owner chose coach over Tom Brady. Because if Tom Brady or if Bill Belichick wanted Tom Brady to come back, he would have came back. Even despite everything that was going on, Tom Brady would have came back. And so with everything that was just said, I'm gonna say this. Pete Carroll will be out of Seattle before Russell Wilson because at the end of the day, I feel like we're going to choose the player. We're going to choose the quarterback who has the longest shelf life over the coach. And we all saw what happened with New England. They chose the coach over the player, and look what happened. They finished 7-9, and the quarterback that left won the Super Bowl. And so if we're unwilling to cater to Russ, which I think we've already started doing that, as Squabbo mentioned, and even with the hiring of Shane Waldron, that was what Russ wanted, right? He wanted Shane Waldron. And so we abided by that and we brought in Shane Waldron. And so we've already started taking steps this offseason, and winning cures everything. And so I'm with Squabbo. If we make some sort of run at the Super Bowl this year, we start making decisions in free agency and the draft based on what Russell Wilson wants, or, if we listen to some of the input that he provides, I think he's still here. I don't think he necessarily needs to be in a major media market. I mean, Coach, you talked about it, 7 of the 10 best endorsements or whatever in the world. He doesn't need to be in New York or anything. I mean, he's just fine in Seattle. I think all he wants to do is win. Winning cures all. And so as long as we're able to cater to Russ, I think all should be fine. I totally understand what you're saying. Obviously, our loyalty does lie within Russ, and we don't want to see him go. I could see him leaving, but I could see Pete Carroll leaving before Russ. So I'd rather have Pete go than Russ, just because, look, Russ has at least another 10 years left. Pete Carroll, who knows how many years he has left coaching. But I think we've already made, the first step in catering towards Russ by hiring an offensive coordinator that he likes and a guy that he believes he can work with.
See, and I struggle with the catering towards Russ because, again, he hasn't proven to me yet that he is that type of guy that he deserves to have things catered to him, right? I mean, I wouldn't say that he's carried us to Super Bowls. Our defense carried us to Super Bowls, right? And I want to make sure I go back. I mean, we're in such a small world now that when I'm talking major markets, I meant it more from a standpoint of he wants to be able to be in that spot where he can be very accessible to what is going on in today's culture and today's all those different things that, yes, living in Seattle helps because of the, the organizations and those type of things that we have here. But you still talk, LA, New York, those type. I mean, he's a glitzy, glamour guy now that he wasn't when he first came. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. He's evolved. He's branded. I wasn't on YouTube 4 months ago till one of my good friends asked me to come be on it. But I think we look at stuff, and again, we now live in a society, where your generation, both you guys, the idea of a lifer is gone. I thought I was going to be a lifer where I started. I spent 17 years there. And so when I left, it was a very sad day, and I chose to leave, and everybody was like, okay, it's time for me to make a change. Now guys are going to make job changes 7 to 10 times in their career. So to expect that Russell Wilson is going to be here his entire career, I just don't see it happening. And so I'd rather see the consistency up top with your head coach and GM. That's why I'm so glad that Schneider stayed on, because I think he's the guy that can help us in regards to what you think of drafts. I mean, we were 12-4. We were talking about getting rid of defensive guys, but as soon as you start giving one guy the leverage to be able to do stuff when he hasn't done the stuff necessary yet to do it, Brady gets that, because like I've said it, he's the best organization in sports. Tom Brady, he is the best organization in sports because he's proven it though.
But has Russ not shown flashes at the very least? I believe he's shown flashes.
Sure, yeah, sure. He's shown flashes. Of course he has. But again, and again, he's a top 7 to 10 quarterback in the league. I can't put him in the top 5, but he's in that next tier. But flashes, again, they don't get us there. And when we've really needed those big games, when we've needed big games out of him, he hasn't been there. And again, I have to keep saying it. I don't want him to leave. I love Russ. I love watching him play. I love his style. I think he's going to be great for this offense that we're running in. But again, when it's come to totality of games, you go to the Green Bay NFC Championship game, the 2 Super Bowl games, the Atlanta Falcons game, other games where we're behind, and then all we remember is that last piece. And it's like I heard someone else say last week when they were talking about O-lineman. An O-lineman can throttle a guy 57 to 65 times a game. Put him on his back, drill him, everything else. He gives up a sack, and now all of a sudden he's the worst player around, right? Well, same thing with Russ. He gets a big drive at the end of a game and throws a deep ball, and we get to the Super Bowl. But the four interceptions put us in that position, right? Super Bowl numbers weren't so great in the 2 Super Bowls. This year, the biggest game we need him to show up in, the final game of the regular season, I mean, we broke it down. There were wide open passes, easy passes, and he started to do his own thing. So the precedent was already being set by him that, hey, when I don't like what's going on, I'll just do my own thing. And when you start doing your own thing, it causes breakdowns. That's my concern. I'm just concerned about it. That's all I'm saying. There's just been a pattern that I'm seeing that it's alarming to me as a coach.
So here's the situation in Seattle right now, right? We got Russell. He's got technically 3 years left on this contract, right? Mm-hmm. It's a no trade clause.
No trade clause.
Seattle is in no position. They will not be able to move him themselves. Russ has all the leverage. So in other words, the only way Russ gets out of here in the time frame that you're saying that he's out of here in a year, that means he only would have one more season with Seattle. That means at the end of the 2021 season, after the Super Bowl, Russell would be basically moving to another team. If what you're saying is true, right? Is that what you're saying? A year from now, being February 10, 2022, your prediction right now is that Russell will be heading to another team.
Yeah, before we get to the next draft. And remember, contracts are evolving. So, as quarterbacks are making more money, and I was surprised to see that the salary cap actually increased instead of decreased. Where Russ was when he signed this last contract, he's not going to be in the same spot numbers wise. So there's going to be more quarterbacks available if the time comes where he does want to move or get traded or what have you. And again, I don't want to see it happen, but I'm going to say it.
Yeah, Steezy.
Yeah, real quick. So, Coach, whether you like it or not, what if at the end of the season, whether it ends in a Super Bowl, what if we fire Coach Pete Carroll, and what if we just cede all control to Russ? Whether you like that or not, what if that happens? Does he stay?
Well, I think we would struggle as an organization. I don't think we want to set that type of precedent where we're sending. Again, I think the concern is that he obviously has an issue with Coach Carroll. I mean, there's some sort of a friction that's been created there when all of a sudden he went from doing great first half of the season, but the last 3 seasons he's been kind of the MVP, and then all of a sudden now we're running. But you got to default to your head coach who's taken you there. He did it at the college level, and then he came to us and he took us. So I mean, Pete Carroll's just as responsible for us in those getting us out of those dark times. So to me, the loyalty from me as a fan is, hey, I would like to see the guys that were here before Russ, drafted Russ, and know how to develop the whole team. Russ is only thinking of the offensive side of the ball and his own legacy. What about the running back we draft or some lineman or somebody else? What about DK Metcalf? He's got his legacy. do we want to default to him? I mean, he might have a better chance of getting to the Hall of Fame longer term, not better than Russ. But if he wants to start doing things and else, and he's dictating policy, it just starts to become real ugly when you start letting players do that. Again, unless you're a Tom Brady or a Drew Brees, even though he didn't win all those Super Bowls, but he didn't create that type of ruckus. And I won't even put Aaron Rodgers in there. And you guys know I love Aaron Rodgers, but I wouldn't even give Aaron Rodgers that type of control because he's kind of in that same mold where he got there, he won it, but he's kind of proven there have been some games where, he did it against us where he choked a little bit, and he did it in this last season.
The thing about it, though, Coach, is that you make it sound like what Russ wants is something so selfish that it doesn't benefit the team. But Russ wants nothing more than to win. When he says it's his own legacy, but the team benefits if his legacy is good because Russell winning means the team is winning. So I guess I see what your point is, that if it's selfish, it's not good for the team. But if you're a receiver, to me, that's bad because I want my catches. I don't care what happens anywhere else. But if you're the quarterback, you want to win. And if the quarterback wants to win, well, doggone it, I want a quarterback who wants to win because if the quarterback wins, the team wins, the legacy of everybody gets better. So I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing to be a guy who wants to win. That's, he's not saying I want to throw more passes. He's not saying I want to throw more. He's not saying I have a different philosophy that doesn't agree with the coach. And I know that's not what's spoken here. He just says he wants to win. And I don't think anybody's going to argue that I want to win. So
play better in the big game. We were 12. This conversation is happening over a team that's 12-4 and division champs,
but lost in the first round of the playoffs.
Yes, I get, and massively because of his play, right? Some of his play was a major part of what took place there because of his numbers, his stats, the situations, and then we had to placate, and then also we had to put a fall guy as our offensive coordinator who was basically told by the head coach to adjust things, and then Russ was doing his own thing on plays that that we looked at, and a ton of other plays that I didn't break down for us. So again, I'm not trying to poo-poo. I'm just trying to get us to be ready for what to me is not the unexpected. Like I expect him to go, and if he stays, then it's a win for me. Like, hey, great. I hope I'm wrong. I absolutely hope I'm wrong on this.
Well, I think we're disagreeing, but we're kind of disagreeing on how we think things play out, not necessarily on what'll happen if, because I agree with you that he might be gone next year if everything hits the fan this year. We don't listen to what he says. We do the opposite of what we tell him, and we break promises.
Well, but tell me why we have to listen to what he says. Why do we have to listen to what he says?
He is our franchise quarterback. He is our guy moving forward. If we believe in him the way that we do. When we saw Deshaun Watson now he wants out of Houston, right? It's because of lies that were told to him by the higher up. Our higher up people haven't lied to Russell Wilson yet. We've listened to him in the past. When we saw Tom Brady leave New England, it's because the head coach was against Tom Brady and he wanted credit for the dynasty. We don't have Pete Carroll coming out and speaking against Russell Wilson. So none of those situations are the scenario here in Seattle. Everyone wants Russell Wilson, and Steezy, myself, and I think Norb all think that the organization will respond to Russell Wilson. And if they do respond to him and it works out successfully for us, I find it really hard to believe that he forces his way out a year later.
But guys, he forced his way in with his last contract. The only reason he signed his contract at the last minute was because he demanded a no trade clause in there. As soon as he got the no trade clause at the final hour, because he put us up against the wall on it, we got him. Now, we're all thankful that he put a no trade clause in there because at the time it's like, hey, he wants to stay here. We want him here, no brainer. But now it's reverse trapped us. Now it's put us in a position where, if we want to do something, we can't because of the no trade, or it puts us in, where there's tough things to do, and it would make Seattle look bad, makes the ownership look bad. But he's the one who demanded the high money and then put the no trade clause in there. And so now we're looking, well, what can we do? We still went 12-4. We still won the division. And yet he hamstrung us with, again, money that if you can get the most you can make in any job, go for it, make it, take it, do what you can. But there is part of the real world concept of how much do you really make. And I don't care who he's with or married to or anything, just for him as a solo individual. When you say you want to win, then just show me. Like, I just want to see you do something other than go with DK Metcalf all summer long down and do workouts, somewhere else. And I know the people that videotape him. I know Jake Heaps, who's his quarterback coach. I know some of these other people, and it's not a name dropping thing. It's just the communication I have with them speaks to his regimen and what he does. It's gone from some of the we us are, which I love. I love him. I love his work ethic. I love all those things. I just wish that some of the things that we would see of late would speak more to that we us are and less of the me, my, I. That's all I'm saying.
Coach, I totally understand what you're saying about the whole money thing, but I think one thing that has severely hamstrung us for the last 10 to 12 years is our lack of success in the draft. We haven't drafted a decent first rounder since 2010. We haven't been drafting well at all. We haven't been finding any of these gems. The last time we had any of these gems was the year Russell Wilson got drafted. I mean, you could bring up other guys we've drafted in the second, third round, and we've had a few steals here and there in the last 4 to 5 years, but I don't think it's this huge cap number that's necessarily hamstringing the team. I think it's our lack of draft success, our lack of bringing in, our ability to not bring in solid free agents, our ability to maybe not bring in the right guys. I think that's what's severely hamstringing this team. I mean, you've seen other teams build around a $35 million per year quarterback, maybe not to winning a Super Bowl, but you've seen successful teams with quarterbacks that are taking up a huge chunk of cap. That all comes with success in the draft, and we haven't had any of that.
Well, but we have a DK Metcalf, and we have some others, but so how do we look at from a standpoint of whether it's the draft or not? We still went 12-4. So to be in a position where we're talking about not doing well in these different areas, you can't go 12-4 and win our division if you're not doing well in something, right? So I would kind of disagree from a standpoint of, I think we have brought in some people. Look at the defensive side of the ball. Look at the dudes we brought in. Now, if guys get hurt, you can't help that, right? Those things are going to happen. But I look at some of those guys on that side of the ball, and I'm an offensive guy, right? I mean, all but 2 of my years, I called the offense, but I'm still an old school guard when it comes to defense, and the running game wins championships. But the West Coast offense, which I absolutely love, is offense setting up the pass, setting up the run. So all those things are setting up for what I think can be a great season for Russ. But I still, again, there's just these little things I feel like are being set out there so that if he did choose to leave, it was kind of like, well, I left some trails. You guys you didn't follow the trails that led to my, eventually saying, I need to be done. I need to go out of here. We need to part ways. Because there's fractionalization that is continually going like this. It's cracking, and we're just in February. And we've already seen it now on a couple of occasions based on Russ said. To me, 3 times already in the last few weeks since our season ended, something around Russ has taken 2 out of his mouth and 1 from his team that would be fractionalizing if they were meeting every day in that locker room, which is why it's good that we're not in the middle of the season right now, because this would even be a bigger story.
So Banded in the super chat says the cognitive dissonance is strong tonight. If this is Russell's last year, we should enjoy and celebrate what we have had and learn to move on. But I hope we're not already planning a funeral in a year from now. But Coach is standing still.
Flip it, man. Banded is so spot on. We get so caught up in we should enjoy every year. That's what I said the other night, Norb, in terms of we are in this year. That's what makes it great. The day after the Super Bowl, my mindset is this season is the year we win the Super Bowl. This season is everybody likes to say that, and we always do that, but make that our mindset now. And then let's just go after this year and focus on this year. That's how the NFL works. That's the beauty of parity. That's why the Rams can jump off of their quarterback 2 years after a Super Bowl and focus on their defense, bring another guy in, make things work. Again, now I'm not comparing Goff to Wilson. Wilson's head and shoulders above Goff, but we have Wilson this year. Let's make the run at it, make it work. There's no guarantee that Pete doesn't retire at the end of the year. There's no guarantees of all those things other than we have a 2021 season that, is going to take place. So yeah, I'm going to root for Russ. I'll be screaming at the games when I go there. I'm going to want him to stick around. I'm just tonight giving you the honest truth, because otherwise we would all just sit here and go, no, it's not going to happen. No, and I'm here to tell you that if there's a 1% chance that it can happen, I'm in that 1% that's saying it will happen.
All right. There's always a 1% chance anything will happen, right? Because there's no 100% certainty of anything not happening. So, Squab, I know you got something to say. Like me not being on
the show next week, that might be a 100% chance, because you guys are going to keep me from coming on. Like, don't let that guy on again.
I don't know. The ratings are pretty good, so I think I'll keep you around just for that. No, I do want to say, though, you keep bringing up the losing. We went 12-4 and lost in the first round, and you make it sound like that whole game was entirely Wilson's fault. And I vehemently disagree with you. Okay, well, because here's my point. Russell Wilson made some mistakes. You broke that down, and I saw that. the line made some bad mistakes, and you brought up some plays that they clearly were having some major issues protecting Russell Wilson that weren't just Russell's fault. Russell had some things there. DK's to partially blame. The line's to partially blame. The scheme, I'm telling you, man, it was evident in the Super Bowl and it was evident in that playoff game. We had better yards per carry with Chris Carson, and we didn't give him the ball enough. He had more yards per carry than the best runner on the Rams, and the Rams guy ran for 150 plus yards. We just didn't give him enough opportunities. Now, what was the difference to me in the Super Bowl? Besides the defense, obviously the defense came to play, and the offensive line of the Chiefs started looking like the Seahawks offensive line at times with him getting the ball and immediately having a guy on him. But again, Tampa Bay ran the ball. They ran the ball well with the 2 running backs in the backfield. And to me, that set up everything that worked out well. So it wasn't like it was the Tom Brady show. It was the whole scheme was working together. And I felt like that scheme that Seattle was doing, it was not run well. They needed to run the ball well more. And that's where I was agreeing with Pete Carroll at the end of the year. It's like he was saying, yeah, we need to run the ball more effectively. I was like, yeah. Because if you'd done that in that Rams game, you might have had a chance. You didn't get blown out. You basically blew it because of one major turnover and the inability to keep drives alive and becoming too predictable on deep passes when he should have been hitting small, shorter targets. Now, I know there's a lot more to it to oversimplify, but that final game that ended the 12-4 season was not just Russell Wilson.
How many times in the Super Bowl, 2 things. How many times did you see Tom Brady, once they established a little bit of running game and started using play action and RPO, and Tom's not an RPO quarterback, but it was still part of the arsenal to have it in there. How many times did we see him do that and then literally dink and dunk a 2 to 5 yard pass and let his guy do his thing when the situations were there? Even when it was 3rd and long or something, it was still your second line. Throw it short, do this.
That's Tom Brady's. That's been Tom Brady's game his whole career. He made a killing with that.
Exactly. Instead, we put ourselves in a position where it's 2nd and long, and then we decide to throw deep to get it all back instead of running the quick hot routes, which when we looked at just the other night, right when Russ did that earlier game against Dallas, had that wide open slant that's right there. Instead of throwing it, comes back. He's on a 1-step drop, and he tried to take 3 reads on it. To where Brady's doing that. But the bigger thing, I go back to, a player doesn't know what they don't know until they know it, right? And my example, this will be the easiest way I can explain it, and I've done it before. This whole football represents everything there is to know about the game of football. Everything there is to know about the game of football. Every rule, everything. Let's say that this circle, this NFL piece represents everything I know about the game of football. But the whole panel is everything that Squabble and Steezy know about the game of football. Okay. And then you get bigger and bigger, but sometimes you get smaller and smaller. Well, if Tom Brady is as close to covering this whole football and Russell Wilson only has the knowledge of this, and then you get a player who only is like a dot, right? A 1st-year player, you have to evolve. Well, if Russ doesn't know this stuff that's on the backside of the football that Tom knows, then he won't do it. My point is this. How many times do you see Tom Brady point out who the Mike backer was? And you don't need to understand the concept of why you point out the Mike backer, any of those things. Okay. At least 10 times during the game, Tom Brady is designating who the Mike backer is, which tells the offensive line how to adjust the blocking scheme based on the play. I've never, in my entire watching of Russell Wilson, going back to his college days, seen him point out who the Mike backer is. So he's not been taught. Doesn't mean he doesn't know the concept, doesn't mean he doesn't see it, but he hasn't played in that type of an offense. So until you do that, until you know what the entire game is and continue to evolve, you can't expect him to go and do the things that we want him to do, right? It's just not going to happen. And so he doesn't know what he doesn't want.
Okay.
An offensive line is the difference. That's what I think we're missing here. Whenever we go back through Brady, whenever he lost in the Super Bowl, whenever he lost in those AFC Championship games to the Broncos or to different teams, it was because of the pass rush and how the pass rush was getting to Brady before he had enough time to do that underneath concepts. And we saw just this past Sunday in the Super Bowl how pass rush and a lack of an offensive line of protection for Patrick Mahomes kept the most proficient offense, prolific offense over the last 3 years out of the end zone for an entire game, which none of us even thought was possible. But that happened, and it was because of a pass rush. Well, the thing with Russell Wilson, and you heard Dan Patrick bring it up, 394 sacks in 9 years. That's about 400 sacks in 9 years. Brady's at about 520. That is not a good pace for Russell Wilson to be on. We saw Andrew Luck, one of the best prospects of all time coming out of college, retire early because he was getting sacked too much. And then finally, Indianapolis learns their lesson and fixes their offensive line. This is the situation where if we fix our offensive line, Russell Wilson is going to be much, much better. We saw the best quarterback prospect, the best quarterback throughout his first 3 years in NFL history, Patrick Mahomes, look extremely human in the pocket last Sunday because he didn't have protection in the pocket. What we saw all season long, Russell Wilson was 5-0. We were beating the Arizona Cardinals, and then our offensive line and our protection broke down. Russell Wilson started to get sacked out of nowhere. The next play, he throws the ball too early because he doesn't know if he's going to get hit, and he throws an interception, and that started to begin the whole seeing ghosts thing for Russell Wilson, where he started throwing balls over like, that doesn't look like a Russell Wilson throw. It's because he was getting hit when he didn't expect to get hit. And that's a thing we've seen. Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts against New England, and we saw Patrick Mahomes was seeing ghosts on Sunday when he was throwing picks. So quarterbacks need protection. Russell Wilson is not the best quarterback of all time. He's not the best quarterback in the NFL right now. But if he has protection, he's good enough to win a Super Bowl, and that's what he wants. So if we give it to him, I think we're successful, and I think that he stays.
And I think let me add to that. So, and I think it's I'm anticipating Coach Marsh's reaction. I'm trying to counter before he can counter. But we're going to, the thing is, we know that Russell Wilson has held the ball too long. He even admits it. If you heard earlier when he talked to Dan Patrick, he said, yeah, sometimes I hold the ball too long, but sometimes those balls turn into touchdowns. So we know that that's his game. We know that Russell likes to do I won't do that quick dink. Let me just spin out of this and hit the guy for 50 yards instead of giving the 5-yard penalty, a 5-yard pass. Well, now we've got a new offensive coordinator. Now, we've had multiple offensive coordinators before, so it's not like it's been different every time, but we do have a different one whose game is predicated on the fast, quick passing game, right? We've seen it with the Rams. We've seen it make Goff a successful quarterback who we all know he's not that good. So if they can make Goff look good, I would like to think that if Russell can and the new offensive coordinator can actually get on the same page and they can really implement this thing truthfully to 100% effectiveness, I think Russell can get what we saw Tom Brady do, which is you run a lot of short stuff, you run a lot of play act, you run the ball a lot, you do a lot of play action, and when you do the play action, they bite, and then Russell hits them with that 30-40 yard streak down the sideline. So I feel like it's there to be had. Now, what we don't know, because like you said, Kroos, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what it's like to have Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll separated. They have always been together. What I do know is that Pete Carroll was 7-9 2 years in a row before Russell Wilson showed up. After Russell Wilson showed up, suddenly we were in the playoffs every single year. That part I do know. That was the one time we had Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson separated. It is my opinion that if Russell Wilson leaves, you said we could just bring somebody in here and run a West Coast offense. I contend if it's in a year and Russell Wilson, for whatever reason, leaves, we are going to be a 500 or worse ball club the following year if Russell Wilson leaves. That's my personal feeling with what I believe Russell Wilson does for this organization. So it is not in my hopes or even anticipation or even trying to set my own expectation of the possibility of Russell Wilson leaving in a year, because I don't want to see us drop to 800 and 1990s type ball the following season in 2022. So that's my feeling on that aspect of things. So now, Coach, you can go ahead and respond now.
And who was our starting secondary that first year when Russ came here? Just a rhetorical question.
Well,
we had a totally different team that we were building to get to that that time. It only took by the next year we're getting there, right?
We did have Earl Thomas because he was drafted in 2010. Now with the Legion of Boom, I can't remember exactly what years. You guys are better at the draft stuff. When did we get? I'm
just saying they were younger. We weren't paying. I'm leading to a point here that there's been no major quarterback that was making top end dollar that's ever won a Super Bowl. It just hasn't. And we only have, it's not Major League Baseball where we can just go in all this money. So when people say, let's just get the line, if we could just get a line, you kind of have to luck into that a little bit, especially when you got a guy that's taking in so much money because you only have so much of the pie. And if 35 million of the pie is going somewhere else, not 35%, but 35 million. Well, how much of that pie is sliced up that gets to go to all 5 of those linemen, to make that work, and their backups and everything else? So there's going to be a major drop off that takes place there. And I think that there's just too many issues that you have to overcome there to try to make that work. And if you look at all the quarterbacks that have been successful in the great quarterbacks, the ones that won multiple Super Bowls, they all know how to hit the short passes, the short routes, the winning drives. And I'm going to go back to even Elway, even though it took him a couple Super Bowls. When he had the drive was 7 plays, 5 of which were less than 10-yard passes. And then you go to Joe Montana and his Super Bowl 23 drive, where he talks about John Candy at the start of the drive. Like, hey guys, John Candy's up there. And then he gets the guys all loose. You know how many Texas routes he threw on that route, on the drive? 4 out of 6 of the pass plays were Texas routes out of the backfield, hitting to the running back. Tom Brady, the same thing. When guys learn to do that and they can hit those quick hitters and trust, better to throw it 3 yards and let the receiver go 90, the other 90 plus yards, than to go deep ball and then deep ball just so we can show how fast DK is or whatever. My favorite play of DK Metcalf this year was the crossing route. Is not quite a crossing route because he was wider, but when we threw it and you swear you thought he was going to end up going out of bounds or getting pushed out of bounds, and then he turned upfield and ran for the touchdown.
The 49ers
that is
game
my
at home.
favorite play that he ran on offense. He could do that all the time, and we got other underneath guys. That's why I'm so excited about the West Coast offense. And again, I'm calling it West Coast. It's not true West Coast. It's single back West Coast, but it's still the same type of concepts, because you have to establish a running game, but it's still the premise that you throw to set up the run. So and the great quarterbacks have done that. We're not going to do it with Russ throwing 300 yards and the whole let Russ cook.
Okay, that's fine then. We understand that. That's the history, and I believe the West Coast offense. I've been saying this whole time, why don't we throw short stuff? Why don't we doing that? So are you saying Russell Wilson isn't capable of doing that here in Seattle? I guess, why is it either we're doing that or he's got to go somewhere else? I guess that's why is it that hard to do?
He has the ability to do that from a standpoint of when he gets his own, the only time that I feel like we've ever let him cook is in that final 2 minutes of the game when he has to make things happen, right? In the final 2 minutes of a game when we've needed a few of those magical moments, those are the times when he throws hitch, slant, this, and then he'll hit that kind of 15-yard out route, or he'll throw something that's something across the middle, and he's not trying to go for that home run ball. But there's a big difference between kind of playing, rat balls, we used to call it, where you can just go and, okay, guys, you're still calling plays, but he can just go back and do it and feel it and make things happen because you're at the end of the game, versus all game long. You have to be disciplined in this offense because it's timing. It's bootleg mesh point, meaning 2 guys coming together at the same touching point. Hand the ball, don't hand the ball. When you go on the bootleg, it's half rollout or it's waggle or one of those, any of those terms you can learn later on. And then throw the ball in timing. It's not run, and then if it's not there, reverse pivot and scramble the other way and hope you guys get open. Then he gets sacked, and then we're yelling at the offensive line. Because in the stat book, we see that, Russell Wilson got sacked 3 times. But 2 of those were him not following the discipline of what took place. And that's what happened this year. Again, people can say that Schottenheimer was calling deep routes. Well, for every play that there was a deep route, there was 2 or 3 complementary routes. Russ has the choice of who he's going to throw to. If he wants to heave it, great, that's awesome. But you have to have the discipline to still hit some of those other short ones, because it doesn't matter how great of a line we get. If a team does what Tampa Bay did, where they were double looping and double stunning on the front and having linebackers blitz, you're still going to have 6 on 5. You're going to have 7 on 5. You have to know the quick passing game. You have to be able to do it. And we have a caller that's going to call those type of plays. And we're going to run the ball a little bit more to establish that teams have to respect that running game. And then that's what allows things to come over the top. But if you get back there and you start scrambling or looking at 3 different spots, it won't work. And that's my concern, because he hasn't done that. So can he do it? Are we going to be able to practice all off season? Well, the pandemic, is that going to, stop some of the opportunities to do that? Then all of a sudden you get frustrated because he doesn't come out of the gate, because he's always come out of the gate pretty hot. So what happens when he doesn't the first few weeks? I'll have the patience because I want to win a Super Bowl. So I don't really care if we're 0-3, 2-4, whatever. Do we get hot at the right time? And Pete has proven that we are usually getting hot at the right time.
My mom has a theory on that, why he doesn't hit those quick passes across the middle. 3 words. He's too short. I think that's pretty much that encompasses everything that's wrong by that he doesn't do it.
I've heard that before.
My mom is a smart woman.
She's awesome. Yeah, I love her.
In the chat, we've been going back and forth on this. I want people in the chat just to respond. Do you believe Russell Wilson will be with the Seahawks for the intermediate to long term? Or do you think he's leaving? If you think he's leaving, put leaving in there. If you think he's going to stay for at least this contract and start a next one, put stay. I just want to see what you guys think about this.
So that's 3 years, right? We're talking 3 years.
3 years. So basically, do you think he'll be here for at least another contract, which means 3 years and beyond? Put stay if he does. Put leave if you're with Coach Marsh thinking he may leave in a year. I just want to see what you think.
Steezy, I got to ask you, because you're kind of a numbers guy here. So we go West Coast offense, hybrid, and now all of a sudden we had 2 record-breaking wide receivers, right, in yards and receptions. Let's say Lockett gets 57 receptions and, Metcalf gets 42, but we're, 9-1 out of the gate. Where are those two? And not so much even Lockett, but because, Lockett will become a slot receiver and they're going to figure out how to make him work. More so for Metcalf, right? Because that's very real situation that's going to take place. How's that going to impact things after what we saw in the final game with Metcalf getting so upset and frustrated? If he's not getting the ball much, but we're winning.
With Tyler Lockett, I don't think it's going to affect him too much. But like I said earlier, winning cures all. And so if we're 9-1 and those are the numbers, then so be it. I think they're just going to have to put up and deal with it, put up or shut up. Obviously, we want to see our guys get their numbers. But at the end of the day, if we're 9-1, that's really kind of the end all be all. And so it obviously impacts DK a little bit just because he's also trying to build upon a legacy. He's trying to surpass Calvin Johnson's 1,964 yards receiving in the season. He's also trying to become the best receiver in all of NFL history. But maybe, deep down, it'll kind of hamper his ego a little bit. And he might be a little frustrated. But I think at the end of the day, if the results are winning, then can't really do nothing about that. So
how would that be different than what Russ is saying right now then? If we went 12-4, won the division, and if we're winning, but he's not going to be a legacy guy because his numbers aren't going to be there, will that impact him? If we're winning, if we're winning, and Russ is only throwing for 187 yards and he's not doing what have you, is he going to be okay with that?
Well, I think
what do you think he needs to feel like his legacy is growing?
Well, another thing that he talked about was longevity. And so you have to have some sort of longevity to have or leave behind a legacy. And I think that if we're 9-1 and those guys have the numbers that they have, but Russell Wilson is taking less sacks, less hurries, if there's less pressure, then I think he's going to be just happy. Just as happy because we're winning and he's taking less hits. So I think right now, part of why he thinks that, we need better blocking up front is because he wants to last another 10 to 15 years. He's not going to last another 10 to 15 years averaging 40 or taking 43 sacks on average each and every single year. Because Squabble mentioned earlier, he's taking about 400 sacks in about 8 to 9 seasons, maybe 10 seasons. That averages to about 43 every single year. That's about top 5 each and every single year. And so maybe if that number is maybe cut in half, maybe if that number is in the mid to high 30s, I think he'll be just fine.
But easily 50% of those sacks are on him. To where Tom Brady,
right,
you'd say 20% of those sacks are on him, and he gets rid of the ball quicker. So if Russ wants longevity, listen to the offensive coordinator, be okay with throwing it 18 to 22 times a game and having an established running game, building a defense, and winning Super Bowls. Like, that's where I'm kind of going. Like, your legacy is winning the Super Bowls, right? Like, he wants to win, but that means you have to give a little bit. There's going to have to be some give to do it. Hey, maybe your next contract, maybe you can't take as much because you want some linemen to make things happen. Right? That's just what I want to see, and I just haven't seen that type of mentality from him of late.
And that's actually one thing I wanted
from not covering stuff.
That's what I wanted to bring up, actually, because we know that Russell Wilson was at the game. We saw the shots on TV next to the commissioner, him and Sierra, and he's watching. He's talking about Tom Brady, and the fact that Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay and he accomplished all this. He's definitely not blind to the fact that we all know that Russell Wilson or that Tom Brady has sacrificed getting the highest payday in order to have more money free for the organization. So the question I wonder, I would love to have Dan Patrick or somebody else ask Russell Wilson, which is, why don't you not take the highest contract possible so that you can pay more people in your team? Because it's, again, in this case where you're saying about the whole I, me thing versus the we, us, our, Russell Wilson, by being more generous with the money is actually helping himself because they could go out and pay more linemen, right? It's nice that he buys some Amazon stock and buys some scooters and stuff for Christmas, but that's not going to protect you from more sacks.
Pretty cool scooters, by the way.
I'm sure they're pretty cool, but I would think a few million to buy more offensive linemen, would also help Russell a lot. And that's the one thing I feel like is never really asked and has never really been dealt with is why doesn't Russell do the same thing that Tom Brady did, which was take less money to get more invested back into the organization. And I don't know what you guys, obviously none of us know the inside of Russell Wilson's head, but I'm just curious your take on it, because to me that's a logical thing.
Tough question. Go ahead, guys. I'll let you guys answer it.
But it's a logical thing, right? And we've seen,
very so.
Tom Brady has been doing it, so it's proven. So wouldn't other guys like Mahomes or Wilson go, maybe instead of taking it all from me, maybe I should maybe be the 8th or 9th or 6th or 7th most highest paid QB and win more Super Bowls like Tom Brady did. Squabo, what do you think about that?
I think you guys are right, but I think that's going to happen. I feel like he was a 3rd-round pick. He got his first paycheck, and good for him. He became the highest-paid quarterback in the NFL. He's got his money. Now watch. You 7 of the 10 best endorsements off the field possible, according to Coach Marsh statistics. Russell Wilson has already signed, so he's getting money off the field. He's a partial owner of the Seattle Sounders, so he's pretty embedded into Seattle, I would say. I think. Totally lost my train of thought, but we were going in. We're talking
about taking a pay cut to benefit the team.
Yeah, no. The next paycheck, I think he takes a pay cut. I think if we can show him that we are willing to listen to him and improve our offensive line, as well as put in that West Coast offense that you keep bringing up in those underneath passes. We've seen Russell Wilson in the past do quick passes. When we went to the Super Bowl both times, we were running those underneath passes to Golden Tate and Doug Baldwin and Jermaine Kerston. It was quick reads a lot. Chris Matthews even on the second run. So we've ran those underneath concepts before. We've gone away from it as of late. Yes, there have been reads that he should have gone to, but now the offense is really going to be about those underneath routes, and I think Russell Wilson will adapt to it, and I think he'll be very successful for it. And eventually, we've listened to him. We get the offensive lineman, and that leads to him taking a pay cut next pay period.
So you're making a bold question. Yeah, Steezy.
I kind of just want to bring up, I think part of the reason why it looks like Russ is incapable or inept at throwing some of these quick passes is because look at our personnel. I mean, I remember seeing a statistic talking about how the Rams offense in the last 5 years, they've been in top 5 each and every single year in terms of yards after the catch. You look at Russell Wilson, the Seahawks offense in the last 5 years, we've been bottom 5. And I just don't think we have any of those guys that are capable of creating quick separation off the line of scrimmage and being able to catch a 1 or 2 yard ball and making their way, weaving their way through traffic. I mean, DK, he's shown flashes, but we just don't really give him the opportunity. Tyler Lockett, I mean, yeah, he's able to create separation, but I don't think he's a pure slot receiver in that regard. And so maybe one of the reasons why Russ doesn't look as adept as other quarterbacks in terms of being able to operate in a quick passing scheme is because he just hasn't had the personnel. I mean, Squabble brought it up. We had guys like Golden Tate, Doug Baldwin, Jermaine Kerston. We don't have any of those guys now. And so maybe personnel plays into that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're definitely right from a standpoint of, I don't think Metcalf does a very good job at all of getting off the line, especially when it's press coverage.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, teams near the end of the year started jamming him, and he just wanted to, physical up on him, which is great to a point, but it doesn't get you off the ball like a true top 5 receiver who knows how to just scat out of there. That's what made Baldwin one of the best get off the ball guys, I've ever seen, and he's just underrated from that standpoint. And I agree that Lockett's not a true, he's not a true slot guy, but until you can get to that, he's going to be just due, because he can catch the ball and he does the right things and he blocks and he makes some of those things happen. So yeah, I mean, there's things that have to take place. So I think you're spot on, when it comes to that, but I got to go back to the concept of, all those things that Russ is doing. At some point, again, how big does your portfolio have to be? He's a business guy, right? Now, there could be an argument, and I haven't seen anybody say it or what have you, that LeBron James does the same thing. But that's a different sport where the money's different. It's just it's apples and oranges when it comes to contracts and all those. They can bring in a second superstar out of 5, right? We need to have multiple extra guys on the offensive side. We've loaded up some defense. We don't have that. We have an up-and-comer as a superstar in DK, but we don't have that second guy right? So if we're not going to have that second guy, then we need to spread the wealth a little bit. And if Russ is spending time building up legacy through, endorsements and going and doing this and doing that, again, have fun and have it. Like, you get one chance at this life, right? So go do it. So I'm not knocking him for doing that, but you can't do all of that and in the same breath say, I'm all about winning. And all of us are all about winning. But if I was personally winning a lot, I wouldn't sit here with a light ring on my face and do a show. I'd be out there coaching in the NFL, right? So we all want to win all the time. But then you got to back it up. If you're going to say that, then you got to show it. And I think he did the first few years. I think we saw that Russ. And I just want to see that guy a little bit when we all kind of clamor for our old selves. I don't want Russ to look back and go, man, my 28-year-old self held my 38-year-old self hostage. And that's literally what he's going to end up saying if he doesn't figure out, and his entourage of buddies don't help him figure out. And he's got a great team. I mean, he's got a great team of people, but he still has to make the choice of, okay, what Squabble said, right? Like, next contract, I'm going to take a haircut and let other guys, get a little pieces, because I've got all these endorsements. I'm covered in other areas. I don't need $500 billion to make it. Even though he's doing charity work and all these other things, you just can't do all that stuff. Not can. I mean, I want him to, but I'm saying it's just physically,
There's only so much time in the day. Yeah. If you're not in the film room and you're not doing practice stuff, well, you're doing something else. So, yeah, he's definitely not going to be the same guy he was when he first started his career 10 years ago, and nor should he, because he's not the same guy. He doesn't have the same life. He's got totally different circumstances.
Totally. Yeah, he's got kids. He's got all those things. Yeah. We evolve.
So I want to take a couple of calls. I did mention earlier that on Discord right there, if you want to join in a couple of comments or ask the panel a question, we have a couple of people standing by with questions. So let's go to one right now. Let's go to Seahawks for Life. That's our buddy from Boise, Idaho. Let's see. Hello, buddy. Are you there?
Hello, Norb.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Yeah. What? You have a question or a comment? Doing? We're doing great, man. This has been kind of all over the place here, but
so I was thinking about Russell Wilson being traded, but I feel like offensive line technique is a problem. I feel like they're not very technical about things.
Agreed.
I feel like there's more shoulders than like in the chest area, like where to block.
So you're getting the nitty gritty. So your point basically is you kind of agree with Russell in that little bit that he says, where he says, "Well, we need to get better up front." In the 4 minutes of talking, he says that for 2 seconds. But the point being is that you just feel like the deficiency here is simply comes down to the offensive line.
Of course, you need a great offensive line. Just ask Tom Brady. He has 7 Super Bowls, and he had a great offensive line. And it's like, why hasn't Pete Carroll picked up on what Bill Belichick done? I know it's a different coach, but he was old too. I just don't get it.
All right, thanks for the call. Thanks for the call, man. He's old too. It's like, well, if you're both old, you should both be good coaches because you're old. I guess age just simply makes you a good coach. So
I like it.
Well,
this is Squabble's territory. He can speak to the line.
Squabble actually played the offensive line, so I'm sure you're leaning towards that side of the equation. You said so earlier.
No. I agree 100%. Coach Marsh actually pointed a lot of those flaws out in a lot of his coach's breakdowns. So if you haven't got a chance and you want to learn football and some line talk, definitely watch what Coach Marsh has already done and stay tuned to Coach Marsh's channel. Ayo, shameless promo.
There's a shout out
for what's coming. But So what I really saw this season that I didn't like in terms of the offensive line, I agree with you. And Coach Marsh pointed out, and I'm sure Coach Marsh agrees, we saw wrong steps at the line of scrimmage, wrong first steps that get you behind on the play, that leads to, especially when Russell's scrambling around and doing this and that, and the reverse pivots like Coach is talking about. That's going to lead to sacks for Russell Wilson because of that false step. the extension of plays like Russell Wilson loves to do. So if you're missing your first step, and if you're not communicating enough on little crossing routes along the defensive linemen are going to cross your face. And so many times this year, we saw one person pick up the crosser and the other person stay on their guy. So miscommunications and improper first steps. So fundamental techniques were the problem.
There you go.
Yeah, no, you've heard me talk many times about how, we talk about the offensive line as a grouping, and every other position, we usually get into the position, right? Whether it's our outside receiver, slot receiver, safety, free safety, corner, D-tackle, D-end, all those other things. Offensive line, I so wish that we would break the mold of talking about them as a unit and look specifically. And Squabble was the first person that said early when I first came on, he jumped right in and said, look, left guard, we have got to fix the interior at the left guard position. And if you start rating the positions and looking at it, you can definitely say, hey, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order of what we definitely need to fix, because we will not be able to just come back next year and have 5 completely different, alignment. It just doesn't happen that way. So you have to decide what is the specific area. And I agree with Squabble. We have got to fix the left guard position, and via either coaching, getting the right person. And I do think that offensive line, it is an area that, you can draft the right guy that can come in and help you. It's one of the few positions that I think a guy can come in and he can make some things work even as a backup or a quality guy across the line. But you saw what happened with Kansas City when all of a sudden one guy goes down and they had to go do a 3-man shuffle. I mean, of all the breakdowns with Kansas City, that to me was one of the top ones, was that they had to move 3 different guys to 3 different positions on the offensive line. It's almost like telling a running back to play tight end or a receiver to go play, play quarterback. I mean, people don't realize that there's a massive difference between tackle, guard, and center, especially in the NFL. And when Tom Brady's saying Mike Becker, how that drastically changes, things for people. So I think that's where, if we're going to focus on things, and if Russ is saying O-line, I'd like to hear Russ to say, look, can we get a left guard? Can we do something different there?
All right, let's go to another call here. We got he says, Norb, pick me, Lamar's MVP. So we got a Ravens fan in the house.
Puh.
Who's this and where are you calling from? Hello. Ravens fan guy, Lamar's MVP. Are you there? There's your chance. I'm picking you.
He's like Lamar showing up to the MVP conversation this year.
Oh. All right, I guess he's not there. We'll go to somebody else. Let's go to one of our regulars, Nick LeBeau. Oh, there you go, Nick.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Nick, what's up?
It's getting hot and heavy in this room, man. What do you got? I know, a
lot of heavy discussion. I think I agree with Squabbo. I think left guard is the biggest problem on the offensive line, and I think we have the free agency cap flexibility and the draft capital to not just fix the left guard position, but fix the O-line. Well, you can't really fix the O-line in 1 year, but improve the offensive line for next season for us. I think if we go out in free agency, sign a great center or left guard for the money we got, I think that would be great. And then this offensive tackle draft is so deep. Like, you could probably find a solid or good starter in like the 4th or 5th round. And I think we should do that with our 4th or 5th round pick. And then we can free up more cap by releasing Brandon Shell, who's a serviceable yet injured offensive tackle. So yeah, that's kind of what I think we should do.
Nick, what do you think about this whole idea? Coach Marsh said he could envision Russell Wilson being gone in a year. Where do you stand on the longevity of Russell Wilson with the Seahawks?
Nick, really think about your answer, buddy.
Hey, no badgering the witness. No badgering the witness here.
Let me influence your answer, Nick LeBeau.
No, I mean, I think, in my opinion, a lot of things would have to go in the wrong direction for Russ to just say in next year, all right, I'm done, I want out. We saw it last year. He said he wanted us to make splash moves in free agency. What did John Schneider do? He went out, he got Jamal Adams in a trade. He got Greg Olsen, even though that didn't really pan out. He got BJ Finney. He tried on the offensive line at least.
Quentin Dunbar.
Quentin Dunbar.
Didn't pan out either, but they tried.
Even the trade for Clowney, well, that was before. I mean, he was.
And of course Dunlap. Obviously, that was more
Dunlap.
in the season. But John Schneider proved to Russ that he's like, okay, I'm fine with you kind of giving us your input, and I'll go out and try and make moves that'll help this team. And obviously, we saw it with Dunlap. He helped fix the team a lot. Shell was solid yet pretty injured, so I wouldn't really say that necessarily panned out. But yeah, he went out, made moves. Obviously, Jamal Adams, superstar. I love that move. Love that player to death, pretty much. He's an awesome player. Led us in sacks. And yeah, so I think John will make moves on the offensive line for Russell Wilson, prove his loyalty to Russell Wilson, and I think Russ will be happy.
Preach, brother.
Yeah,
Preach.
man.
Nick's fat.
Nick, I love it. I love it. I want to add to it because Coach Marsh has said many times, like, oh, should we cater to Russell Wilson, or is that really a wise move to be trying to make him happy? Well, I think what Russell Wilson's asking for are things that make the team better. Right? Who doesn't want a good offensive line, right? Who doesn't want better protection? Who doesn't want all-stars who can catch the ball and do great things, right? I mean, I think we want all those things too. And that's why I keep saying, it's like what Russell wants is not something that is a disconnect from the team. When receivers start saying, I want to catch the ball, well, that's a problem, because then you're saying, force me whether it's the right thing or not. When the quarterback's saying, I want this because our whole offense is going to function better, or our whole defense is going to, our whole team will be better, to me, that's a good thing. I just want that one little thing I throw out there, the little caveat, which is, as he's saying that, a little pay cut might help make some of those dreams come true. Some of those wishes might happen if you can spread it around a little bit, right? Just like you were saying, Squabble, if he does indeed take a pay cut, since clearly he's got more avenues of revenues coming his way. So to me, I feel like it's not that far off of where he wants to be and what we as an organization, meaning we as the Seahawks, could do, because I don't think they're going opposite directions. That's my own personal feeling. So you guys are very quiet. Let's go to BJ. BJ, you're on with the panel. What's your comment or question?
Well, this is more of a comment and what I think should happen. But as we've seen the Bucs, win the Super Bowl, what they focused on was, pass rush, because it's a really good pass rush when you look at it on paper. And then they got their offensive line. They figured out what they wanted to do on offense, and they were gonna run the ball, do some screens, and then play action. And that's exactly what they did in the Super Bowl. And they won it. And they had Brady, not a very mobile quarterback, but a guy who is a leader of men and can read defenses properly, and as Coach Marsh said, point out the Mike linebacker in the middle of plays. I think that's very important to a quarterback to do that, because the quarterback is the most important player on the field. And you want to teach him like early into his career on how to do these things. Mahomes has been taught how to read defenses and make adjustments on the fly on the field. So has Josh Allen. Some of these great young quarterbacks we're seeing, they've been taught the proper way. Wilson, when I see him, he's just been told to do whatever you can, escape the pocket, if nothing's there, run around and try to make a play. Well, sometimes he needs to stay in the pocket and go through his progressions and see every receiver instead of locked on his first read and deciding, oh, this is not going to work, I'm just going to run it.
All right, PJ, good points. Squavo, Marsh, any of you guys want to respond? Or a counter comment?
I think CZ has something to say.
What's that?
No, I'm just kidding.
Steezy had something to say. He had to take off.
He looks anxious.
Coach Marsh, any thoughts? Oh, no. Did Coach Marsh freeze?
I think Coach Marsh has something to say, too.
Oh, he's... Coach is frozen.
No,
Steezy is...
Norb, what about you? Do you have any thoughts?
Oh,
Wait,
man.
Norb, is that you? Are you here, too?
Yeah, it looks like it's just like you and me. Coach Marsh is frozen right there. I was wondering, why did he get so quiet? Oh, he's frozen. I think those are all good points. Russell is not perfect. He's definitely got some blame to be had in this, and I hope he's not to the point where he's so good at pointing out what we need that he's blind to his own shortcomings. Pardon the pun, but his own issues that he contributes to the game. He's got to be open to that, and I'm hoping that the new coordinators, offensive coordinator and the run game coordinator, can work with him to also point out what he needs to do, because I agree there are times when he makes the wrong decision, and we just want him to be able to do that, and he's got to fix certain aspects of his game too. He's great at what he does, but there are times when he doesn't make the right choice, where so many quarterbacks like Brady just stays in there, hits that guy for the short pass instead of the one that is not the smart move. And it's funny how in the Super Bowl we saw Patrick Mahomes, looking a lot like we've seen Russell Wilson looking like for the first time ever. Seeing Patrick Mahomes struggling like he did was just almost foreign to us, right? Yet we see that, it was like, oh man, that's what Russell deals with on a week in, week out basis. Where it's not, clearly there are times when he holds the ball too long, and there are times when it's like he drops back, and before he even plants that foot, there's a guy barreling down on him. There's nothing he could do about that. And it was weird to see Patrick Mahomes dealing with that same thing. That dude was running 400 yards of behind the line of scrimmage, looking like Russell Wilson times 2. He was doing like 2 or 3 Russell Wilson moves in a row to try to survive back there.
Diving pass
on a bad toe even, and he was still
that was crazy,
and yet and then they would make these drops of those amazing throws. So it's no surprise that Mahomes was so frustrated. But man, anyway, so much to digest. We'll try to get a couple more here. Hopefully, Coach Marsh can rejoin because we're about to transition to our trivia. What's that?
He said he's rebooting for the record.
Okay, all right. So let's go to, let's see here. We can grab another. Let's go to, I believe this is Daniel Jones. Got a Giants logo on here. You're on. What's your question or comment?
Russ is going, okay? That's all.
Wait, Danny, what happened when you were running against the Eagles? Daniel Jones, right?
Nothing happened. Absolutely nothing.
You lost your footwork there a little bit, I thought.
No, the turf monster happened. That's what happened.
No, the Giants are winning.
No, there's a sniper in the building.
That's what's happening. Giants are winning the division next year. Yeah, that's what's happening.
Okay. They might. They had a good chance.
I'd love to see it. I'm not gonna go for it, man. I don't know what team I'd rather have win.
I want to see the football team win.
They just did.
They were all trying. They were all trying
Isn't
to
it
not
always
win.
like worst to first? So next year Philly's gonna win. Nick Sirianni is gonna.
That's very feasible.
To glory.
Yeah, it'll be very different next year. I don't think the East will be as bad as they were this year. I mean, they just can't be. You can't have 4 teams all be the same level of bad as they were this year, right? It just can't happen twice in a row.
I mean, Saquon Barkley's coming back, so he does have a point.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase.
Ooh,
in Philly. In Philly. I think Philly gets him.
Or Miami.
All right,
if Miami takes him, then they get Smith. That's even nastier.
Really good pair of Smith with Tua.
What?
The quarterback carousel is going to be very interesting to see with all these guys floating around out there, man.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think Smith goes 3 to Miami, and then I think 6 goes Jamar. That's what I'm saying. Like it's one or the other. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, they're going to get an elite receiver regardless.
Right. I think so.
All right. So we got another call. We got Tom Brady is the worst QB, is what he calls himself on Discord.
This is great.
This should be interesting. Okay. Tom Brady is the worst QB. Are you there? He's got his mic muted. You're unmuted, but you're not. You have the guts to say Tom Brady's the worst QB, but won't talk. All right, I guess you're going to back up your case. All right, okay, all right. And we won't go to you. Let's go to. There's another one. There's a Tom Brady in here. It just says Tom Brady. And wouldn't that be funny if Tom Brady called in? Hey guys, I just had some spare time. I thought I'd just call you in on your show. Nope, and he's gone. All right, so how about?
I mean, he's had a lot of avocado tequila.
It's true.
If he called in, would that make us his 8th ring?
Oh. How about Hasher for MVP? You there? Hasher for MVP.
Yes.
Hasher for MVP. All right. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi. I'm from Irvine, California, Los Angeles. Obviously, college quarterback. I'm a big fan, by the way, Norb. I'm a big fan.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Are you a Seahawks fan? Who are you a fan of?
I'm a Seahawks fan. I've been a fan since 07.
Okay. All right. So what's your feeling? Question or comment? What you got on this topic?
Okay. So here's how it works. First of all, what I believe is that Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll are not on the same page. I really feel like the relationship is not there. Another thing, it's complicated, but what I see is that Russell Wilson, this season is either Super Bowl or bust. And in terms of bust, I mean like Russell Wilson will be gone. And like I said, I hate to say it because I'm a huge Seahawks fan, and I really believe without Russell Wilson, we're not that much of a good team. We're like below 500.
I agree with you on that.
Well, what if we don't get to the Super Bowl, but like we get to the NFC Championship game and lose 3 running backs and 2 tight ends?
I don't know, man. I mean, like Russell Wilson. I think we're finally learning who Russell Wilson really is. I mean, as a quarterback myself, I mean, I really try to be nice and gentle, but when things go wrong or like things aren't there, or if I'm frustrated with the same amount of struggles, I gotta let out my ego, or like not really ego, but let out my frustration. So whatever Wilson is doing, he's not doing it in the wrong way. I just feel like a lot of I think the media is overreacting a little bit on the fact that Russell Wilson wants out, but I really believe that if we can just fix this O-line, and if we can be creative on offense next year, I think we will be fine. I mean, I think Wilson will be happy, but we'll see.
But you're you're kind of talking out the two sides of your mouth there, because what you're saying basically is either they win the Super Bowl or he's gone. Isn't that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah, Super Bowl.
So, but you're saying, but we could do all these improvements and get into the playoffs again, maybe get divisional or NFC Championship. But what you're saying is if they don't win it all, it's going to be Super Bowl or bust. Either I win it all or I'm out of here. No matter what the trends, no matter what the moves, no matter what was made in the offseason, if they don't get it all, then it's that's pretty extreme. I mean, if that's the case,
it can't be that black and white. That's what, like you said, that's way too extreme. There's 32 teams in the NFL and only one win. So sometimes the best doesn't always win. So I think that'd be way too extreme.
The only way I could see Russell Wilson leaving in a year, like Coach Marsh is saying, is if they just have like this horrific year next year. If they go like 6-10, the offensive scheme is messed up and it's definitely not working, and then there's friction between the two, then I could see this ain't working, where this is clearly there's a division between the philosophies between Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. That, to me, that'd be the only way where it would make sense to say, this is a bad situation. This is just not a marriage. It would take
more than that. Like, it would take everything.
What do you mean more than that?
No, it would take everything that you're saying and the organization choosing Pete Carroll over Russ, which we don't think is the scenario. Like, remember when I said, and you guys thought I was crazy, if Pete Carroll has a really down year and we have a losing record, he's going to be on the hot seat. And what I meant by that was not that he's a horrible coach all of a sudden, but that him and Russ would not be on the same page. And if that were to happen this year, I believe, and Steezy believes, and I'm sure a lot of other people believe, that it wouldn't be Russ that gets cut first. It'd be Pete Carroll. And that's kind of what I was saying before, and that's still the scenario moving forward.
lack of philosophical difference.
That is, I remember you making that bold prediction before the beginning of the year, saying this Pete Carroll could be on the hot seat. And of course, we ended up coming out of the chute 5-0, and that quickly went away when asked about that. Yeah, what do you think about that hot seat thing? I was like, oh, no, never mind. I'll take that back. But then here we are now starting to talk hot seats again. Even though we finished 12-4, made it to the playoffs, it is how we finish, right? I mean, even the Chiefs, who made it all the way with what looks like, until the Super Bowl, one of the best offenses in the NFL, one game, goes south one game. And I'm sure there's a lot of now doubt the way the season ended, where Kansas City Chiefs fans are no happier than we are right now, given the way it ended, right? I mean, I'm sure they don't feel like they have no hope for the future, but at the same time, I'm sure they're very regretting how things played out and starting to wonder about their future. Because as I've said before, the Chiefs and the Seahawks kind of in the same boat that we were in 2014, where they had that window to go back to back, had the opportunity, and for whatever reasons you throw at it, it just didn't work for them. So,
Norb, real fast, can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Never that.
Because you guys were just talking about how, we finished 12-4, we won the division. Because I remember when I dropped my last video, when I was going down promoting it, I was kind of going about by saying, oh, yeah, we won 12-4, but despite that, and despite winning the division, we had a very disappointing season. So now that we kind of look back on the season that we had, yeah, we won 12-4 and won the division, but do you guys think that it was a disappointing season altogether, or do you think it was just a disappointing end? Because I was arguing that it was a disappointing season because I felt like we had the talent necessary to win a Super Bowl, but we got bounced in the first round.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, Squabble, you take it first.
Oh, I agree that it's a disappointing season, and the reason that you say that is because at no point throughout the season were we able to fix our offense. And when we started off, it started off strong, and then they started to figure it out, and then we never adapted and we never adjusted, and that's why Brian Schottenheimer got fired. That's why we had to move on, because we weren't able to reach our goals, and we couldn't figure out why. So we had to cut the personnel. So we had goals. We believe we were capable of achieving those goals. And it was the personnel and lack of adjustments that did not take place, and any rifts within the locker room. Like we said, over the past couple of years, we've been able to fix those rifts. As long as we're able to continue to fix those rifts, everything is all good with Pete Carroll. If Pete Carroll, for some reason, which he hasn't shown us any reason why he would, but if he decides to not modernize in his thinking in terms of allowing the Seahawks to adapt to what Russell Wilson wants, then that's when Russell Wilson starts to get in trouble. But I do say it was a disappointing season as a whole because we weren't able to overcome what we faced.
Yeah, I agree. It was we actually did. Remember, I think at one point, maybe 3/4 of the way, I think we threw out something out there where we said, "Hey, how would we have to do this year and finish in order to feel like this was a good season?" And I don't think anybody here said anything less than an NFC Championship berth, right? I think everybody said we have to at least make it to the NFC Championship to feel like we accomplished the minimal goal. And clearly we didn't do that. We fell too short of that. And on top of it, it was that feeling like we had it, and then nothing worse than feeling like you had everything going your way, and then to lose it at the end in the way we did, where you're like, man, what happened to all that? How did we not adjust and get ourselves out of the funk that hit us in the middle, and you saw us how we were kind of limping into the end of the season, and weren't that shocked when it didn't go our way, because we all kind of knew that, our offense is just not quite doing what it was supposed to be doing. So, and typically Seattle always has been a team that finishes well in the end and gets there, right? December has always been that month. This is when Seattle gets cooking and clicking, and they play better than any other team when December comes around. And this was just against all those usual trends that we see the Seahawks do. So, it was very disappointing. I do wonder, had we gone and let's say we didn't throw the interception and we'd beaten the Rams by just the narrowest of margins, right? And then if we'd played the Packers in Green Bay and got beat in a not that close of a game, right? Would it still have felt disappointing to have gone there? I still think it would have. It would be like, well, we went back to the same place we did a year ago and had the same exact result, no improvement. I think it would have been a disappointment. Only the NFC Championship game would have been enough to make you feel like
something.
It was a successful and a step up. So,
and we would have lost to Brady.
Yeah, the eventual Super Bowl champion.
On my end, I feel like I had to ask because I was just taking so much heat, so much flack. Everyone was saying that I was a spoiled Seahawks fan, and that like, most franchises in the NFL would love to go 12-4. Most franchises in the NFL would love to win a division. And I was just kind of speaking from the standpoint I was speaking from the standpoint of the expectations that was placed amongst our team. And so that's kind of where I was going. But I kind of just wanted to see if I was tripping. Like, am I a spoiled Seahawks fan? Like, am I asking for too much? And so I kind of just wanted to give you guys' opinion, but that answers my question.
Yeah. No, I don't think you deserve the heat at all. You know, and we do have a higher bar because we're not the Jets happy with just having a winning record. And we're not just. That's what I was. Yeah. We can't. I think it's okay as a fan to expect. Yeah, maybe we are kind of spoiled in that sense because we do get the playoffs every year, so we expect it. But I think you kind of have to expect certain things from your team, especially when you know you've got certain elements in place, things that got you to a certain level the year before. You expect things to improve, to step up. You got the same great quarterback, same weapons, same coaches. We had more things going for us at the end of the season this year than we did last year, given that we had no running backs and our tight ends were decimated. I mean, that we had nothing hardly in the chamber on offense last year, whereas this year we had all the running backs. We had all these things that we didn't have the year before, and yet we underperformed from the previous year. That to me I didn't understand that. That was what was probably the biggest frustrating things. No Mercy Furnace in the super chat with a Bills logo says, "What's up, my boy Squabo?" Must be one of your people in there. I don't know if you recognize.
How's it going, Big Sauce? I'm not sure exactly who that is, but let me know in the chat.
No Mercy Furnace.
You're the best. No Mercy Furnace. Is that there is like an inside joke with some friends of mine, Quadas, and it could be them. I don't think it is though, because of Buffalo Bills, but they have like a tree, and I need your guys' opinion. They have a tree, and it was like a Christmas tree, and they had it for decoration, and they call the tree Furnace. And it's in their living room. Like, the name of the tree is Furnace. I think that is a ridiculous name. I think that you can't name something that if you were to tell someone about that object and describe it by its name, it would think of a different item. Like, a furnace could be in your living room itself. So why would you name a tree Furnace and put it in the same spot? The other thing is, I say if you're going to keep the name, at least add like an accent somewhere, make it Fernacci. So I am all for, instead of Furnace, Fernacci. Are you guys with me? Fernacci. No, so now it's No Mercy Fernacci.
Hey, but if it's foreign, it's better.
It makes it sound pristine.
I just like the sound of it. I've never heard that before, but that definitely gives it a nice high class vibe to it.
If it ain't foreign, it's boring. That's the one.
Man, you're just got all the terms flying in there. So I see Coach Marsh. He's in the chat, but I'm trying to find out if he thinks he can get back on.
No, he said he won't be able to.
He won't? Okay, all right. So I guess Coach Marsh is out. No, apparently you can't use a rotary phone for your internet connection. All right, so Coach Marsh is out. That's too bad. But I guess
make it back on.
We'll go ahead and we'll just. It looks like it's just going to be the final two. The final two, you guys. As we do the, I'm still going to do Cameron Hughes's trivia. We're going to do trivia now because I know a lot of the people out there watching want to do the trivia. It's a good one by Cameron Hughes. So let's do that right now as we wrap this conversation up. So, No Mercy Furnace back in there again. That name is perfect, LOL, he says. All right,
no
so
mercy
guys.
Fernacci,
Fernacci. Yeah, okay. Fernacci. No Mercy Fernacci. Oh, that's what it's supposed to be. No Mercy Fernacci. That sounds a lot better when you say it that way. No Mercy Fernacci. Okay, let's get your Kahoot apps and your Kahoot.com, whatever you want to use, and we're going to get this game started right here. Here is the number.
I'm stuck with the triple biased Russell Wilson Wolfpack.
Here we go. 859-3325. Sounds like one of my old phone numbers. 859-3325. This is the best part of the show, is watching the Kahoot names pop in. All right, we got Go Pack Go, Nick LeBeau, T-Man, John Rick, NORBFAM Nation, Shaquem Wagner, Trade for Sam Darn. Russ for Watson. Joe M.
See, now that, like, if we're going to lose Russ, let's bring in Watson.
Yeah, you're going to have to make a call, right? Russ's daddy, Norb's wife, Pyrus 727-570. Don't trade Russ. Noah Stoned AF. Real Norb's balls. No mercy. LOL. Lamar Jackson. Nice. Go Hawks 2021. Jack Sparrow. Noah. DK Swolecalf. I love you, Russ. Jimmy Cawley. Seahawks for life.
I don't get that
Neckbeard Noah. Bold Steel 60. We love Hawks. Zoe. Vanessa. Norb's balls. Let Fernachi cook. Wall Russ. Steezy for Prez. No mercy for you, Noah. Steezy for Prez again. Oh, is that the same one? That's the same one. No mercy. Hot Locket. Go Vikes. I gotta turn the volume on this thing. There's the music. Norb middle balls. Oh my gosh.
So he has 2 in the middle, at least.
Ball guys is plural. Avocado tequila. Man, these guys catch all the little details. These names, it's all about the details. All right, I'll give you like 15 more seconds. No mercy for Nachi. Another super chat. Thank you very much. Vanessa BF. Adam Gates for HC. Agile Gator 96. Norb Middle Eyes. Squab Boss Car.
I think it says
Squabbo Scar. Okay, Pete Girls Gum. Bright Owl 35. Norb is my dad. BJ. Johnny Depp. Noah. The panel is hot. Russ, we got you. All right, let's give it 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3. No Mercy fan. 2, 1. All right, let's go. Oh, Lady Tiger 67. Chris, trade Russ to Jets. All right, we're at 40. That'll work. Here we go. And we're off. All right, here we go. Again, Cameron Hughes, thank you very much for submitting the trivia. It's a good one. Starting now. Number 1. Who is not a member of the Seahawks' current coaching staff? Rocky Cito, Chad Morton, Aaron Curry, or Sanjay Lal? Who is not a member of the Seahawks' current coaching staff? Rocky Cito, Chad Morton, Aaron Curry, or Sanjay Lal? 3 seconds. Time is up. Oh, only 4 of you got this one. Rocky Cito, not a current member. Let's go to the panel here, our huge group of panel with just 2 guys going. Steezy, what you got?
Man, I went with Aaron Curry. I went with the former bust.
Former bust. All right. No points for you. Squabbo, how about you?
Easy, man. You ain't got to do them like that, brother.
I'm sorry, man. It's both overall. I mean, he ain't doing nothing.
Hey, man, call it what it is, man. He was a bust. Not gonna lie.
So I guessed on this one, but I did have a little bit of information because I did actually just look through the coaching staff like 2 weeks ago. I guessed, but I did guess Rocky Cito and got it right.
Okay, all right. Tapping on some good information. Let's go to the scoreboard, see how we start out of the gates. Oh, where's my thing? Oh, there you go. All right, so trade for Sam Darn in first, NORBFAM Nation in second, Russ's daddy in third, Chris in fourth. Andrew P. has no points, but somehow in 5th place. I don't know how that happened.
4 people got it right.
Yeah, okay, all right. That's right. We 0. Okay, here we go. Tough question out the gate. Next question. What was John Schneider's first roster transaction with the Seattle Seahawks?
Oh, my God.
Trade Seneca Wallace to the Browns, franchise tag Olindamare, sign long snapper Chris Overton, or re-sign Chris Baker. John Schneider's first roster transaction. Trade Seneca Wallace, franchise tag Olindamare, sign long snapper Chris Overton, or re-sign Chris Baker. Whew. Tough one. I have no idea on this. So sign long snapper Chris Overton. Now, who would have known? I even remember that name. You guys remember this? Never thought about this question. He had like 1 million transactions in that first season. But Steezy, what you got? Anything? Oh, I got Squabble.
I know we never franchise tagged players and definitely not kickers, but I remember Orlando Mara being franchise tagged one of those years, if I'm not mistaken. So I went with that, but obviously I got it wrong.
All right, so still trying to get on the board, but Squabble with a 1-point lead so far. What you got?
Did you say Cameron Hughes made this trivia?
He did.
I love Cameron Hughes trivias, man. I got it right again. And honestly, the first two, they were a little bit logic. This one was logic. The first one, I remembered not seeing Sato on the coaching staff. I couldn't remember the other three. I thought they could have been, so I went Sato, leaning. This one, it was straight logic. All three other names made more sense than this one. And for that reason, I went with this one. I was like, why would Chris Overton be a tempting topic if it wasn't the answer?
Okay, all right. So far, you got the psyche figured out of Cameron Hughes. We'll see if that lasts beyond 2 questions. All right, let's go to the YouTube scoreboard and see what we got. Oh, trade for Sam Darn still up there, and his daddy moves up to second. Go Hawks 2021 in third. NORBFAM Nation drops to fourth, and Rain City gets to the top 5 in number 5. Next question. Number 3. Who tied Mike Williams for most catches in the 2010 wildcard game versus the Saints? Ben Obumanu, Brandon Stokely, John Carlson, or Golden Tate? Who tied Mike Williams for most catches in the 2010 wildcard game versus the Saints? Ben Obumanu, Brandon Stokely, John Carlson, or Golden Tate? That's the Beast Mode game. Time is up. Wow, YouTube got this one. Ben Obumanu. 11 of you guys got this one correct. Let's go to the panel, our panel of 2. Steezy.
Make that 12. I remember watching this game, and while it was the Beast Mode game, Obumanu was the most effective receiver that game.
Nice. Good. Well played. Well played. Squabbo.
Yeah, no, this one I just remembered.
Okay, so 3 for Squabbo. Steezy with 1. I'm finally on the board. Let's go to the scoreboard on YouTube and see how fates change. They do. Rain City jumps up to the number 1 spot. Trade for Sam Darn drops to second. Only 8 points behind, though. Russ's daddy in third with 1,400. Nick LeBeau up to the top 5 at number 4 with 1,322. And NORBFAM Nation drops to 5th, 1,272. The panel is hot, though, climbing fast, up 6 places. Next question. Number 4. Who did Pete Carroll hire as the defensive backs coach in 2010? Jerry Gray, Chris Richard, Dan Quinn, or Gus Bradley? Who did Pete Carroll hire as the defensive backs coach in 2010? Jerry Gray, Chris Richard, Dan Quinn, or Gus Bradley? Time is up. Jerry Gray. Now, 4 of you got that one correct. The lowest number of the YouTube panel. Starting to see a little bit of a pattern here as Squavo is saying. Let's see how the panel does on this. Steezy.
I started to, I thought about the pattern as well, but I ended up going with, I ended up going with Chris Richard. I just ended up going with what I thought was familiar.
I thought the same exact way because I didn't know this either. And I first thought, it's got to be Jerry Gray because I don't know, all the other names are too obvious. And I thought, well, wait. Chris Richard was the DB coach, but I think it's the wrong year, though. I think he came in later, so I thought the same way as you did, man. But let's see if Squabo, did he outthink Cameron?
Cameron outthunk Squabo. I didn't even think about that logic, to be honest. I was just thinking, I'm pretty sure Chris Richard. So I just went Chris Richard. I got it wrong.
Who knows out there? When did Chris Richard become the defensive backs coach? It must have been 2011 or 12. Somebody can put that in there if they know. All right, let's go to the YouTube scoreboard. It's good. It's a good one. This is very challenging. No softballs in here. Whoa! Major changes. Nick LeBeau on fire with 3 straight answers. Gets him to first place at 1957. NORBFAM Nation up to second place. 1912. Only 45 points behind. Rain City to third. Trade for Sam Darn drops to fourth. Russ's daddy gets into the top 5 at number 5. Next question. Who did the Seahawks take with the 3rd pick in the 1997 NFL Draft? Pete Kendall, Walter Jones, Sean Springs, or Amon Green? Who did the Seahawks take with the 3rd pick in the 1997 NFL Draft? Pete Kendall, Walter Jones, Sean Springs, or Amon Green? Time is up. Oh, yeah. I'm starting to figure this guy out. Sean Springs is the correct answer. 9 of you got this correct. 9 of you also thought it was Walter Jones, who I was also heavily leaning towards at the time. But let's see what the panel has to say about this. Steezy.
I went with Sean Springs. I saw the first name. I don't think he's ever played for the Hawks. Walter Jones, I think he might have been drafted a couple years later. And then Amon Green, I think he was drafted by the Packers. So I went with Sean Springs.
All right. Well, I'm not sure if all those logical or all those breakdowns are correct, but it got you the right answer. So let's see. Squavo's up by 1. What you got?
I looked at Pete Kendall and Sean Springs and applied the logic that failed me last time because I didn't follow it. So it didn't fail me. I failed it. So I failed the logic, and this time I wasn't going to fail the logic. So I was guessing between Kendall and Springs, and I actually guessed Springs.
All right. Well played. 4 points for Squabo, 2 for Steezy. Let's go to the YouTube scoreboard. NORBFAM Nation shoots to the top with trade for Sam Darn back up to 2nd. Nick LeBeau drops to 3rd. BJ onto the top 5 at number 4, tied with Rain City at 1544. But Go Pack Go is climbing high, 9 spaces up. Next question. True or false? John Kitna threw more interceptions than touchdowns in 4 of his first 5 years in the NFL. True or false? John Kitna threw more interceptions than touchdowns in 4 of his first 5 years in the NFL. True or false? No idea, but I have a guess, and it is... Wow. Everybody went with the old Bill Marsh true-false logic. 22 of you thought it was true, and it was false. Only 6 of you guessed that one. Somebody must have been watching previous shows going, I know everyone's going to say true, so I got to go with the opposite. Steezy, what do you got?
I was leaning towards true at first because of, yes, Coach Marsh's logic, but I was also thinking I use Squabo's logic. I was like, it's too specific to not be true.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up going, I was thinking true, and then I was thinking false. And then I was like, it has to be true. Because I was also thinking false for a little bit because I was like, he was a pretty terrible quarterback. But then I went back. I backtracked, and I was like, it's too specific, and there's Coach Marsh's logic. So I went with true.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was going to work for you.
I thought you got it right.
Yeah.
No. So I was thinking true. Then I went false, and then I went back to true.
That's the problem with the true-false answers. There's too much time. There's too much time because you only have to pick one, and you're just like, well, yeah, no, it's got to be, no, it's probably the, no, I'll go back to this. Digin, Squavo, how about you?
Well, honestly, Norb, how long did John Kitna play for Seattle?
Jeez.
It says in the NFL.
I guess it was 5 years. I guess it was. It's funny. I don't remember beyond 5 because after that it became the transition to. Warren Moon played in there, and then
I thought it was only 3.
And then it became
wait. What's it called? Rohan and Rishi are saying that it's true in the chat.
Really?
And Rohan said that his first ratio was 1-2, 7-8. 23 to 16, 18 to 19, 12 to 22. Yeah, 4 or 5. Okay, yeah.
Well, if that's what it is.
Well, I can't fix the. I can't. Well, if that's the case, I can't fix the internet side, but I can fix it here. So.
No. You should check if you're gonna switch it. You need to check.
That's true. I can't just trust a couple of YouTube comments, right?
True.
I'm going to go through that much research here.
Well, the only reason I care is because I said false.
All right, let me go down the rabbit hole here. Yeah, that's true because obviously you guessed false, so you wouldn't be protesting. I am going to check it out.
I'm thinking okay, if he was having a losing QBR, if the touchdown interception ratio, if he had a negative touchdown interception ratio, why would he keep starting? That's what I was thinking.
So you're right. I mean, he's only got Seattle. He only played quarterback in Seattle for 4 years, and then on his 5th year he went to Cincinnati. So, but based on that, let's see if the chat is correct. So here's what it reads. Touchdowns to interceptions. In his first year, 200. Okay, I'm going touchdowns to interceptions. 1 for 2. Is that what they said? 1 for 2? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
7 for 8. 23 for 16. 18 for 19. 12 for 22.
No! So it's wrong.
So I got it right.
You got it right. Yeah.
Let's go. Come on, man.
That, right?
Dang.
I needed that.
Yeah. Okay,
It's the
so
replay, man. I want to take the replay out of the game.
all right, so that I guess, again, I can't change things on the internet, but I can change things here. So that gives Steezy
NORBCam
3. Squabo stays at 4. So now we got a 1-point game. All right. Well, I hope the rest of his information, Cameron, is correct. This better not be a sign of things to come. All right, let's go to the YouTube scoreboard.
Norb, your camera's off, by the way.
Oh, I know what's up.
Oh.
Actually, I don't know what's up, but I do know what's up now. All right, so NORBFAM Nation in first. Still, let Fernacci cook in second. Rain City in third. Trade for Sam Darn in fourth, and Nick LeBeau in fifth. Don't trade Russ is the highest climber, up 8 spots. Next question.
I'm devastated after the last question.
Number 7. Who did the Seahawks pick right after Russ in 2012? Robert Turbin, Jeremy Lane, J.R. Sweezy, or Jay Howard? Who did the Seahawks pick right after Russ in 2012? Robert Turbin, Jeremy Lane, J.R. Sweezy, or Jay Howard? Time is up. Oh, yeah. Robert Turbin. Let me get my camera working here. There we go. Got to get myself centered. My camera overloaded. I had to go to my backup. All right, let me turn this off. There we go. All right. So, Robert Turbin's the correct answer. 12 of you guys got this correct. Let's go to the panel. And Steezy, chance to tie temporarily.
They were both third-round picks, so yeah, I said Robert Turbin.
Man, when it comes to the draft, man, you are so... Right. Nothing gets by you. Tie ball game. Whoop, why isn't that changing it for me? Hey, what the heck? I can't change the score. What's going on?
It's not meant to be.
Seriously, it's like I can't change the score.
Twist my arm.
What the heck? I can't change the score. Hold on.
Looks like
my
we're
camera
stuck with
overheats. What the heck? This makes no sense at all. This has never happened. My keyboard. I need to try to reset my keyboard for a second.
You're going to have to go to the old-fashioned
There we go. System. There we go. My keyboard just was on the fritz. All right. Squabo to take the lead.
I didn't know it for a fact, but I did mostly remember. Like, that was my best guess, and I said Turbin.
Okay. All right. So, maintains the 1-point lead. Let's go to the YouTube land. Oh, just a couple of changes down below. NORBFAM Nation still in first. Let Fernacci cook in second. Rain City in third. Noah Stoned AF in fourth. And Russ for Watson into the 5th spot. Vanessa BF is up 8 places, the highest climber. Noah Stoned AF. I was like, where does these names come from? All right, let's go to number 8. Jeremy Lane was one of the Seahawks 6th-round picks in 2012. Who was the other? Winston Guy, Greg Scruggs, Spencer Ware, or Luke Wilson? Besides Jeremy Lane in the 6th round of 2012, who was the other draft 6th-round pick? Winston Guy, Greg Scruggs, Spencer Ware, or Luke Wilson? Time is up. I missed that one. Winston Guy. 7 of you got that one correct.
That's a tough question.
That's a tough, man. These are really tough. Not your usual headline type of questions. Steezy.
I think you guys jinxed it for me on the last question because I went with Spencer Ware.
Squabo, the fact that you're calling it a tough question means you probably missed it too.
Yeah, and I say Greg Scruggs.
And I was thinking Luke Wilson, but man, we were all wrong on this one. All right, so let's go to the scoreboard. Let's go to the scoreboard here to see how much changes there. Oh, NORBFAM Nation hanging in strong with a sizable lead. BJ goes to 2nd. Noah Stoned AF in 3rd. Trade for Sam Darn back up to 4th. Ori is the best, hanging in 5th. T-Man is up the highest climber 6 places. Next question. Who led the Seahawks in rushing yards in the Cowboys' loss in the 2018 playoffs? Rashad Penny, Mike Davis, Russ, or Chris Carson? Who led the Seahawks in rushing yards in the Cowboys' loss in the 2018 playoffs? Rashad Penny, Mike Davis, Russ, or Chris Carson? Time is up. Rashad Penny. 7 of you guys got that one correct.
Really?
I was surprised.
Yeah, right.
Steezy.
See, I was thinking Chris Carson at first, but I was like, that's way too easy. So I went with something that was a little, I went with Russ, but I guess not.
I guess not. Squabo.
See, I was thinking Russ, and then I was like, that's too easy. And I don't think he led us in that game. I said Mike Davis.
I guess Mike Davis too, and I was wrong as well. So,
dude, ever since you couldn't change the score, we've stopped scoring. I think it was a sign.
yeah. None of our scores are changing from this point on. Let's go to let's see if the scoreboard, how much the fates are changing over there. Not too much. NORBFAM Nation is the top. Ori's best in second. Noah Stoned AF in third. Trade for Sam Darn in fourth. And BJ in fifth. Up 7 places. We Love Hawks is the highest climber. Next question. True or false? Double point question. The Seahawks had the league's second best rushing offense behind the Ravens in 2018. True or false? The Seahawks had the league's second best rushing offense behind the Ravens in 2018. True or false? A lot of 2018 right here. Seahawks had the league's second best rushing offense behind the Ravens in 2018. True or false? Time is up. Going with the old falsies. Going against the trend. Two true or false questions. Both of them false. 16 of you guys got this correct. Panel, did you outsmart him? Steezy.
Yeah, in 2018, we actually led the league in rushing with 160, so I said false.
All right. And you take the lead with a 2-point question right there. So Squabo needs to get this one to regain the lead. Down a point currently. Squabo.
Well, I was going off the Ravens factor. I didn't think the Ravens were number 1 in the league in 2018, so I said false.
Okay, so he answers with the counter, maintains the 1-point lead. Let's go to the scoreboard. Getting tight down here. Noah Stone AF shoots to the top with a 4-streak answer. NORBFAM Nation holds in second. BJ up to third. Trade for Sam Darn in fourth. And Rain City back up in the top 5 with number 5 at number 5. Next question. Number 11.
It's got to be
worth double. What was the score of the Seahawks' first road playoff win in team history? 27-20, 37-14, 31-7, or 27-24? What was the score of the Seahawks' first road playoff win in team history? 27-20, 37-14, 31-7, or 27-24? Time is up. There we go. 9 of you guys got that correct. 27-20. That would be the, I believe that was the Miami Dolphins win, if I'm not mistaken. 27-20, correct answer. Let's go to the panel. Back to in the prehistoric days, as Coach Marsh would say. Steezy, what's your memory tell you for 2?
Nothing. I was kind of just looking at the picture, and everyone looked really excited. So I was like, they had to win a close game. So I chose the closest to the games, 27-24. Got it wrong.
Oh. At least you picked the winning side. Of course, it was a winning game, but not that close. 27-20, the correct answer. Squabo.
I had no idea. And I didn't even know who we beat. I didn't know where it was. I knew it was a road playoff win, and I know those are close games. So I was thinking it was one of the close ones, one of the 20-point ones. And I saw the 27-24, and I thought that was too much of a gimme. Like, that's too stereotypical close road playoff win. So I actually did say 27-20 based off of no logic, no knowledge, and got it right.
Wow. So you used complete psychological analysis since you had no clue. And you got it.
I'll dedicate that one to 80% luck. Like that was I had no idea.
Well, you had to get it down to 50-50, and then you had to choose one, and for whatever reason, you decided that one little thing about the close game aspect. Steezy chose the picture, the emotions of the picture, and you went with something that took you away from the picture and got you the right answer. So, all right, with a 9-point lead, I think that kind of seals the deal with only one question left. The best Steezy can do with the correct answer is to get 8 points, which means, Squabo, you're technically already the winner in this trivia contest. So congratulations.
Let's make it worth 3 for the panel.
Okay.
Or 3.5. 3.5.
Basically, winner takes all. In other words, winner takes all here. All right, I'm game.
I love the sound of that.
All right.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Winner takes all. But YouTube, it's not the case. We got a tight race here. Noah Stoned AF still on top. Rain City goes to second. BJ drops to third. NORBFAM Nation in fourth. And Trade for Sam Darn in fifth. And some Japanese Konnichiwa is the highest climber. Konnichiwa. And I know that's right. Steezy knows some Japanese too, right?
Konnichiwa.
Oh yeah, we both took Japanese.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You studied it, and I actually lived there for a year. So yes, I was able to read the katakana right there. Hiragana. It's hiragana.
Oh, no, hiragana.
Hiragana. Not katakana. That's for stuff like Coca-Cola. Hiragana. All right. Hiragana. Here we're gonna get to the third question right now. All right, here we go. Get ready.
I don't know what's
Number 12, fourth double. Who led the Seahawks in receiving in the Seahawks 1983 divisional round win versus the Dolphins? That's the same game. Steve Largent, David Hughes, Paul Johns, or Kurt Warner? Who led the Seahawks in receiving in the Seahawks 83 divisional round win versus the Dolphins? Steve Largent, David Hughes, Paul Johns, or Kurt Warner? Time is up. The correct answer was Paul Johns, number 85. Boy, if that wasn't the trap, I don't know what was. But let's go to the panel for the all or nothing. So really the order doesn't matter at this point, because if you get it, well, technically I guess it'd be a tie if you both get it. Let's start with Steezy, though, since he's technically the one from behind, trying to get a come from behind chance to win. Steezy, for everything, what you got?
You know, I might not have been paying 100% attention, but to my knowledge, we haven't had like a clear-cut answer. Oh, that's an obvious one. So I was thinking, if there's any time to have it, it'll be the last question. So let's go with Steve Largent.
Oh man! Well, you haven't lost yet, because Squabo still has to get the question correct, I suppose, if we're doing an all or nothing game here. So, Squabo, I know you don't remember this game because this is the same game we just talked about in the last question. So it can't be a memory.
I don't understand your logic. If we both get it wrong, I still win, right? Like, come on. Like,
do you?
Because I got it wrong for the same logic. Like, I was thinking, like, you know what? Cameron has seen our ability to adapt to his quizzes, and he knows that we are smart, and he believes in our intelligence. So he's not going to make it one of the sneaky answers. Steve Largent, and I went down with the ship.
I did too. Because sometimes you outthink yourself going, right? Oh, he wants us to think it's the obvious one not to pick, so it's going to be it, because you just want you to outthink yourself and, you know, like throwing the ball at the 1 yard line. Just do what makes sense. But no, he still fooled us there. So I don't know. Where does that put us then? I guess by points you still win it then? Is that the deal?
Yeah, no, he's a winner for sure.
All right, so Squabo still wins it with a 9 point.
By giving me a chance.
All right, here you go. So Squabo with a 9 point, 9-6 victory, low scoring game, a field goal contest, wins it 9-6. Squabo, well played, sir. Well played. All right, let's go to the scoreboard and see how things finished out over there. Cameron Hughes, thank you again for the trivia. In third place with 6 out of 12 is BJ. In second place with 5 out of 12, Rain City. Man, low scores in this one. 8 out of 12 in first place is Noah Stoned AF. Congratulations. Runner-ups are Pyrus and NORBFAM Nation, I believe. So congratulations, Noah Stoned AF with 8 out of 12 questions. Handily winning it with a 7,698 total points. Pretty good Pretty good performance. Who is Noah Stone AF? Take a picture of your screenshot. Email it to me at norb@norbcam.com. My email's right there, norb@norbcam.com. Send it to me so I know who you are. Congratulations, Noah Stone AF. I like the name. That's pretty dang hilarious. All right, so congratulations, Noah Stone AF. One of the best winning names we've had in this show. Oops, I got to put my camera back up because I'm like the other one overheated. Been a weird day today. All right, there we go. We're going to turn that one off. There we go. All right, so we reached the end of the show. We lost Coach Marsh along the way. I started out with no sound, and then my camera turned off. It's just been crazy. But here we are. We're still going, though. So at least we finished. Oh, CJ Smith disappeared. Oh, there he is.
All right. Everyone left, the keyboard shut off, everything's still working at some point.
All right. I guess the last chance again, I just want to remind everybody that you can find these guys' information in the description, their YouTube channels or social medias. But just remind everybody again, Squabo, tell everybody what you got going on this week. What can they look for from you?
I'm going to break down how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl and what it means for Russell Wilson being so upset with or supposedly so upset with the locker room and what it's going to take to mend that relationship. So stay tuned to my channel.
All right, DJ Squabo. Steezy Smith, how about you? What you got?
You know, the last couple of weeks, my phone's been dying, so I haven't even had a chance to get to this point. So I'm just thankful for that. But I just want to say, if you guys haven't already subscribed to Norb, subscribe to DJ Squabo, subscribe to Coach for Life, subscribe to Seahawks Martin, then don't bother subscribe to my channel because y'all need to subscribe to all of them first before you subscribe to my channel. So do all that, show them some love, smash that like button. As for me, got a couple videos on the way. I know it's been over 2 weeks, but we've been focusing on renovating over at the new crib. We're just about done. So what you guys can expect from me, from us, just a couple of videos talking about the Super Bowl, talking about the whole situation with Russ. Like I said earlier, I'm still not exactly sure how we're going to angle that, but we are going to go in about those topics. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to all of our channels. Subscribe to my channel, Steezy Smith, SteezyASmith. And we're almost at 1,000 followers on Instagram. We're about halfway there. We need about 50, 52, 54 more. So if you guys haven't already, or if you guys aren't already following us on Instagram, be sure to do that at Steezy Smith. And that's it.
All right, let's do it. And I want to thank you guys for everybody who subscribed since the beginning and who hopped on this past weekend during the Super Bowl. I finally broke over that 46K mark. 46K, so I'm inching closer to that 50K mark, which been dying to get to. So thank you for your support. I appreciate it, you guys. And yes, please do subscribe to these guys' channels. They're working really hard, trying to put content out there on a weekly basis. And as you guys know, it's not easy to do this, especially when you got these guys they're working, they're in school. We all got, I got family and job to juggle, so it's always a challenge to try to keep things going. It's a miracle we actually get a show out every week. So Coach Marsh had to drop off, technical difficulties, but at least I do appreciate all his stuff, and I hope he's wrong. I hope Russell Wilson is not gone in a year like he's proclaiming he thinks could happen. But we'll see. It's definitely starting this free agency period, this offseason, off on a spark right now with just crazy stuff flying around the internet. So hopefully we'll be laughing about this in a year from now going, remember when we thought Russell Wilson was going to be gone in a year? That's silly, Coach Marsh. So
the football gods have spoken. He spoke bad on Russell Wilson and he got kicked out of the call. Yeah. I think that is a sign from the football gods. Russell Wilson will stay.
That's right. Exactly. Out with you. So yeah, hopefully that's just a sign that things will get better for this team. So who knows? At this point right now, like Coach Marsh did say on the optimistic side, the next season starts. It's not next season anymore. It's this season. 2021 is this season. Everybody's undefeated. Everybody's got a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and doggone it, I think Seattle's got just a chance as good as any to get there this year. And I like the way things are shaping up so far. Minus the rumors, minus the talk that the media is stirring up. I like what we've got in store for us. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, and we'll definitely keep you guys up to date as new information and new developments arise in the Seahawks front. So, but until next time, definitely tune in. I'm going to pop in a few windows up here so you guys can catch on to other videos, and so you don't have to really stop watching. Just click over here, and you can watch one of these videos, or maybe one up there, or maybe that cool one right over there. But just don't leave. Don't leave. Just keep on watching. We'll talk to you guys all later. Go Hawks.